There's no clients in here.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order this City Council meeting this Monday, January 14th, 2016, 7 p.m. Ms. Derrick, you call the roll, please.
Casey Brown.
Here.
W. Johnson.
Here.
Rob Powell.
Here.
Daniel McDaniel.
Here.
Tim Terry.
Here.
Lance Terry.
Here.
Here's the quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Derrick. If you please rise, we will begin our meeting this evening with a prayer led by Richard McKinney and our pledge of allegiance by Chief Will Dawson.
Heavenly Father, we come to you once again thanking you for the opportunity to live in a country as great as this, and for the state, and especially for the city that we reside in. Pray that you be with all of our elected officials and help them to consult you as they make decisions that affect all of us. We pray that everything we say and do here in this meeting this evening will be pleasing and acceptable to you. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Again this evening, if the council would look at your packets this evening, get approval for our minutes for the December 8th, 2015 council meeting, and also our December the 16th, 2015, and December the 21st, 2015 special call meetings.
Move that we approve the minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve minutes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Dr. Johnson.
Yes.
Powell.
Yes.
McDaniel.
Yes.
Tim Terry.
Yes.
Lance Terry.
Yes.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is approval of the mayor's mileage report. There is not one to be looked at this month. We'll move on to the recognitions and acknowledgements. This time I'd like to introduce to everyone, if you've not already met him in one form or fashion, hopefully it's not yet that you've met him. This is our new code enforcement animal control officer, Jared Ricketts. Everybody look back. Jared, can you come up? Officer Ricketts, excuse me. Jared has filled the shoes of Joseph Fowler, who was doing a great job. He left, and we've not missed a beat as far as I'm concerned. Jared's done a great job for us. So, council, had any questions or throw a dart at him or whatever you want to do, there he is. He's doing a fantastic job so far. Thank you, sir. You have a beautiful family, too.
Thank you.
Committee reports tonight. We will start with the South Spencer County Boys and Girls Club. Kenny Sunday.
Mayor, Charlotte, Councilman Mike. We're ready to kick off another year. We started off with basketball tonight after our preseason. Great turnout out there. excited about our league this year because it's so spread out and so evenly. You're always gonna have a team that's really out there, and a team that just can't see the, but I think this year it's gonna be a lot more competitive and closer, and I'm really happy, especially what I've seen so far tonight. In December, we had our first annual Father-Daughter Day. We weren't sure how that was gonna go. We was expecting hopefully about 20 fathers and daughters, about 40. We ended up well over 100. It was a great response. I gotta thank the mayor, Greg Jackson, Chelsea's husband, Evan, who I can't remember their last name, I apologize, she's been working for me for 7 years. But we had 5 young girls that didn't have fathers in their lives that the mayor and them took, and was with them, danced with them, got out there and did the YMCA, which was pretty neat, and we were really pumped up about it. We might have another one in June. We're getting so many calls about after people actually seen what we did, want to get it. So we're really happy about that. We're starting flag football signups next week. We're expecting about 150 kids doing flag football. Beginning of February, we start volleyball signups for the girls. The way we did volleyball was, instead of making it where it's a league, we bring all the girls in, and then we bring some high school volleyball girls in and some coaches, and basically what we do is run a 4-week clinic 3 times a week and just teach them the basics. Because everybody knows there's velocity out there. And that's, you know, the travel volleyball, it's a lot of money, a lot of things that kids can't afford. So we started doing that about 4 or 5 years ago. Great success, and we're really happy and appreciate all the high school girls for coming out and spending time with the other children. We just got word, we ended up with 5 tournaments this year in baseball, 3 in softball. In baseball, we're going to have the state tournament for the 12s, our 10s and 12-year-olds this year. We're expecting anywhere from 300 to 400 teams with these tournaments. Also, the Southeast Shootout, which is Oklahoma and Texas and Arkansas, and that they'll be using our facilities. They use about 3 or 4 of them. They send the majority of the teams to our park because the coaches love our fields, and which we really appreciate. So that's going to bring a lot more in. And also we're going to try our first ever Memorial Day weekend tournament and bring more teams in on that one. So we're excited about that. Things are going up. Money's still tight out there. You know, I told y'all back in September that the state took the money and started to drug test federal welfare recipients, but they ended up giving everybody $4,000, the clubs. Well, they still haven't allocated the money yet, so we're still waiting on that. We did receive a grant for $7,500 from the Boys and Girls Club, which we're hoping to get in June, and that's going to help us out. So, anybody have any questions? We appreciate everything y'all do for us. Thank you.
Kenny, thank you. Appreciate what you do for the community, for the kids. And Kenny brought me a picture, by the way, of Miss Bella and myself at the dance, and you see how far she's standing away from me. They have a picture made. She's a wonderful, beautiful little girl, and I brought her a little hand corsage, wrist corsage, I guess, and I placed it on her hand. I said, would you mind terribly if I kissed your hand? She said, you may not. So we got along pretty well. I finally talked her into one what I call the dance. I'm not sure she's like, okay. But I had a great time. Thank you for inviting me to it. It was an honor and pleasure to do that. Lisa Moore is not here tonight with the Senior Citizen Center Parks Commission. Cent Bell is not, so Richard, I guess.
Mayor, Council, Gary, just a quick update on our project that we've got going in the Parks Commission right now. Clock Tower project was completed last month on schedule. Still got a little bit of fine tuning to do with the bell so we can get a little bit more sound out of it. Everything, clock's all working fine and illumination's good. Amphitheater, we've got the handrails that were installed this weekend. All the sod is down and it's power washed all the existing concrete around the area. Just a little bit of touching up on that, and we're all finished up with that. 100%. Santa House construction is still underway. Christmas and park activities were a success up to Bell Park. We had the movie night, hayride, s'mores, line the kids scene. Everyone went off to that. And that was in partnership with the Focus on Greenwood group. Our Santa House on the Square was successful for the month. Freedom Fest 2016 planning is underway. Next committee meeting will be the 11th of January. And the 2016 budget for that event was approved by the A&P Commission last Friday. City Lake Trail, I'll be attending the program kickoff meeting in Little Rock on January 27th. And that will be addressing, we'll meet the point of contact for the highway department that handles the RTP, the recreational trails program. We'll learn about all the peculiarities that we have with this $125,000 grant, and we'll be ready to start with that. And we'll be working closely with the street department on that, as soon as we get all those approvals. That'll be some in-kind work that will be contributed. North Main Trail Extension is still waiting for some easements from the property owners. North Main, the main walking trail starts here behind the building. We're working with the street department on that to get a blade up there and kind of dress up some of the gravel that was eroded during the last big rain. And we've got a Fort Smith Trailblazers that will be down here toward the end of the month. They want to walk that trail. And we're also getting ready to install mile markers every half mile. I guess it would be half-mile marker. All the way up and down, and from both directions, so people will know when they enter from Bell Park or from here, how far they're going. Memorial Park, we just picked up another batch of 20 stones, so we have about 40 ready to install, and already have a quote from CG Construction to extend that to put it on. Any questions?
Thank you, Richard. Appreciate it. A lot of good work going on. Gary Grimes Consulting.
Mayor, Council, Handy, Mr. Gary. I'm going to talk to you about GIF grant dollars tonight, legislators that helped in 2015. We've talked about those things before, and again, 2016 will do the same thing. I can tell you that the fiscal session will be in April rather than in January of this year, which is an off legislative session, so the fiscal session takes the place of the fiscal of the full session. But rather than do that, as I pulled up here, I sat there in the truck for a while and I wrote some notes down. And I'm going to read from those notes rather than try to remember what I had written. You know, but probably more important to talk about tonight is the positive way that Greenwood is seen by not only the residents, but the entire county and the state. And I see this in my traveling around. But as a consultant to several businesses here in the River Valley, Northwest Arkansas, sometimes the concerns, understandably, are how well it's done financially in 2015, not unlike the city's concerns of dollar-wise management. The difference being the city's answer to and respond to the welfare of the people and the people's need to feel comfortable in knowing that you have their best interest in mind. I'm proud to have this for you in 2015 and look forward to working for you in 2016. I can tell you that in 2015, I think everyone here knows, and a lot of folks in the city of Greenwood know, that everyone was able to work a lot closer together, be it the Economic Development Commission and the council, and I think it was motivated by the people of the city of Greenwood. So thank you for being able to work for you in 2015. Look forward to 16. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Appreciate it. Michael Jones from the HC Architect Firm. Something about progress on the building.
Mayor, Council, Mr. Hamby. I don't have a whole lot to report on the police station. As you know, it's up and running. We're still working on a few punch list items to complete, and they'll be getting to those shortly here as the first of the year moves on. But I did want to let you know that on Friday the 7th, we have our lead preferred provider conference call. This is with the lead reviewer, and they've reviewed all of our documentation. So we basically get one free call for them to give us a chance to correct any information or for them to ask questions about that part of the project or clarify any documentation that we turned in. So as soon as we get all that corrected, we'll get that finalized, and hopefully we should have our final rating on our lead performance of the building, hopefully within the next, I'd say, a month to 6 weeks, hopefully. That's all I have.
Michael, somebody had asked last month about lighting on the building, on the front, or not front, side of the building. Is that something you got?
Yeah, Will and I have talked about
Okay.
it. I've not put anything together yet.
Okay.
I've got something out to one of our electrical lighting representatives, but I don't have anything back from him yet. He's actually coming in the office Thursday, so hopefully he'll have me some information back for some different options to look at lighting that signage from the ground.
Okay,
Yeah, thank you.
thanks, sir. Water Wastewater Commission, no, Mr. Rattery is not here this evening. Greg, did you want to speak on behalf or see if there's any questions? No? Okay, we'll move on. Citizen forum is next on the agenda. What I'm going to do, though, is reverse a couple things, if that's okay. I know we have Mr. Davis here signed up to speak to the council, but we have one or two guests. If you don't mind me switching these out, is that okay with you, Mr. Davis? I know they may or may not want to stay for the whole meeting, so we'll do something that may not take quite as long. Anyway, all that's being said, I want to ask Ms. Diana Ladd if she would come forward. Ms. Diana has signed up to speak, and it's good to see you.
Thank you, Mayor. It's good to see you too. Ms. Berry, council members, and Mike, good evening to all of you. Thank you for letting me speak. I've been a city attorney and a prosecutor for about the past 13, 14 years in different cities. And I'm used to talking to city council members and getting help to council members, mayors, local law enforcement. But tonight I'm here in a different way. I'm here not getting help, but I'm asking for your help. I'm asking for your vote. I'm running for Sebastian County Circuit Court Judge, and this judgeship consists of family law cases, such as custody, divorce, grandparents' rights, visitation, adoptions, guardianships, juvenile cases, and probate, such as a loved one's estate. All of those cases have one thing in common, and that's family. I am 47 years old. I've been married to Jeff for 16 years, and we have 2 children. We lived in Greenwood for about the past 12 years. We recently moved about 4 months ago. I'm Christian. I did not come from a family with money. I had to work to put myself through college and through law school. I grew up on principles of hard work and family values, and I believe it's those 2 things, hard work and family values, that make a community such as this community strong. As I said, I worked to put myself through college and then law school. I graduated from John Brown University and then the University of Arkansas School of Law at Fayetteville. Despite working through college, sometimes two different jobs, I was determined enough to be on the dean's and president's academic list. It was then that I worked for an organization named SCAN, that stands for Suspected Child Abuse and Neglect. And it was then that I first learned my passion was to help families in crisis. That was over 25 years ago. I've been working and volunteering for families ever since then. In law school, I spent over 100 hours researching the effects of divorce on children. And since law school, my emphasis in the practice of law has always been family law. Since law school, I've also served as special judge countless times, and I volunteered as judge for the University of Arkansas School of Law. I've been a criminal prosecutor for South Sebastian County District Court right here in Greenwood since 2007 for the city of Greenwood. Also, since law school, I've had one of the most important things happen to me. I became a law. I believe a family law judge should not only have the professional experience, but the personal experience in some capacity of being a parent. I believe that that's incredibly important to fully understand how precious and emotional these family law cases are. And because being a parent gives empathy and it lends understanding. I mentioned that I had been volunteering for years. Some of those volunteer experiences I've had was as the former president of the South Sebastian County Lions Club. As you believe, Mayor Kinslow was a member at that time. I was also the former cabinet head for the Greenwood Division of the United Way. I've been a volunteer for Charity Fundraiser Junior League of Fort Smith for the past 8 years. Been a volunteer for the Mock Trial Committee of Arkansas Bar Association. Also was the former chair of the Junior League Fort Smith Community Research Project, and that resulted in the adoption of the Kids in the Kitchen project. That's something that's helped hundreds of Sebastian County youth and their families. I was also the former chair of special events for Holiday Market during the year we made the most money ever and since for Sebastian County charity. That's over 22 years of Holiday Market, and we made the most money that year that I chaired special events. In closing, I just want to leave you with my passion, and that's family and children. I also believe in the 3 other things. That every person should have a fair day at court. That politics should never, ever affect the outcome of your case. And that your judge should always follow the law. I was asked by many members of the Sebastian County legal community to run for this judge for this position because of my qualifications. And I'm running for this position because I think it's the right thing to do. Judge Jim Spears is retiring, and we have a need for not just a good judge, but a great judge. I have the personal experience, the professional experience, and the integrity to fill that need. And I would very much appreciate that. Thank you all.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I would know, for those that don't know Diana, she was my secretary for 3 years.
A couple of years, yes.
Before she went to law school, she was a law partner of mine after she got out of school. And I consider her a friend. And I think she would make a very good judge.
Thank you. Mr. Elmore, Mr. Charles Elmore. You come forward. State your name and address, sir. We know who you are, but for the record.
Charles Elmore from 1904 West Center, Greenwood, Arkansas. And I signed up because the city firearms issue come up again. I noticed the repeal of it last month. I was watching the video at home there, and I seen him say, "Is Mr. Elmore around?" But anyway, I would like to see you guys keep that firearms ordinance. We worked about 3 or 4 months getting that thing perfected and where it suited everybody real good. And the only thing that's come up about it was a guy came down and asked if he could shoot on his property. And y'all know the guy, and you know his property, and you know where it lays. And it shouldn't be a problem. He's about as safe as anybody could be out there. But anyway, I'd like to see you keep that. At some point, the city of Greenwood is going to try to annex us again, I'm sure. You guys know it, I know it. And if you do, we would have that already in place. We wouldn't have to go through 2 or 3 months trying to haggle it out again. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. And Mr. Brandon Davis, Mr. Chip Sexton. Again, state your name, please.
Yes, sir, Mayor, members of the council, the community. My name is Chip Sexton, and I represent Brandon Davis. As you know, this is an appeal of an employment termination, and I don't really know what forum the council wants to follow. You have the right, should you so elect, to go into executive session to hear the entire process. And if you elect that process, Brandon is prepared to do that. Now, as I understand the law, neither Mr. Handy or I have the ability to go into that executive session. There are various things and documents and evidence that Mr. Davis wants to present to you to show why it's not in the city's best interest to terminate Mr. Davis and why his termination was unfair. So, Mayor, I look to the council for some guidance as to how you want to proceed, and we'll live with whatever process that the council. So,
Okay.
Make a motion to go into executive session to do what Mr. Davis has said.
Do I have a motion?
We need to clarify there, it's an issue dealing with discipline in the
Yeah,
police department.
specifically in regards to the discipline of the police department.
Second that motion.
And a second.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
Lance Terry?
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. Derrick.
Let the record show that at what time? It is 7:22 p.m.
Mayor, would that be in this room where you want us to clear out?
No, sir, we will actually exit through this door into a conference room just on the other side of my office there. Okay?
We're all.
You wait here a minute. Hopefully that's open.
What if they're not? I guess he went up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're all waiting on you, Rodney.
I was talking, I'm not going to show him that.
Don't want to know. This time I recognize a motion to go back into session.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Mayor. Second.
Motion second, back in session.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion, we alter the agenda. We could do, let's see if we can move maybe number 4 under new business to the next item on the agenda.
Okay, but before we do that, let me announce that there will be no decision made at this time in regards to our executive session. Is that correct, Mike? That we do that? Okay. We will move on. What was your, I'm sorry.
I was going to suggest we move number 4 on the item, another business, keep it waiting for a little while, maybe move that to the top of the agenda.
Yeah.
On the new business.
Number 4, annexation petition up to.
Yeah, let's move that up to the next
Which will be
one.
next one on the agenda. Okay. We like agenda additions. Okay.
Yeah.
You need to go on that.
Well, I don't have to do this, yeah, no,
Okay, we will move into, was it recognized what I said? I'm sorry, I may not have been clear. There will be no action taken this time. Okay.
it was resumed at 9:25.
Thank you. There are no other signatures on the citizen form. I've always said this, and I'm always try to keep to word on this. If you did not know of the citizen form agenda to sign up and you needed to speak at this time, we would allow that. So it looks like no one else missed that opportunity, so we'll move on to agenda additions. I know the finance department has a few.
I have 2 to add. One, when we had our special call meeting about the insurance providing insurance for the city council, we did not do the resolution, so we need to finish that by approving the resolution to amend the budget. And another, that would be number 7. And then number 8, I have a resolution for the police department to purchase 3 vehicles, 2 of which were ones that we did a resolution for the 15 budget, but they didn't come in, so we need to carry that over, and then the chief would like to purchase an additional vehicle. That would be number 8.
Number 9, that, Mr. Morgan's been waiting, maybe you want to move it up, I don't, I'm just saying, but number 9 is the discussion on the fire station addition.
Would the council,
Let's move that
Is that
up
why
to
you're
number 2.
here?
yes, it is.
Is that why you're here, Mr. Morgan?
Yes.
Yeah.
So number 2, is that okay with council?
Yes.
Okay.
I've got one extra deal in my packet.
I got one.
Okay.
Yes.
How could you know?
So the fire station, discussion number 2.
We have to go to the fire station.
And then I've got my PMB, and I visited a resolution or a vote for the retirement plan restatement. So if we move that, that would be 10.
That would be,
Well, because we moved.
gotcha. Okay.
retirement plan restatement. And I have 2 resolutions to add. Because I just want this meeting's going longer than it is. One of them is a budget adoption resolution. We did not formally adopt that budget when we tonight that, I don't remember those, but we adopted the budget.
We tried and
Right, resolution to formally adopt budget, number 11, yes. And then procedural rules resolution, number 12.
Okay, anyone else, department heads, anyone? Jimmy? Chief, did you not have one? No? That was it?
That was.
This one, okay. Okay, we will move into old business, number 1 being the annexation petition. You all take the paperwork and find it if you haven't
Well,
already.
didn't we move something to number 1?
Move number 4 up.
Annexation.
Number 4 to 1.
Yeah, that's what I said, annexation number 4,
Sorry.
the petition, that's okay.
That's y'all back there.
Yes.
I just didn't want to be presumptuous. And
Don't expect anything to be in order from now on. So.
we're going to modify the title of what we're asking for to be a petition to become a part of the Greenwood family, so that we disassociate ourselves with any negative connotation associated with the word annexation. But
The A word.
yes. Yes, I am proud to represent Brody and Sarah Brownfield. Brody and Sarah are both Greenwood people. Their families are from here, and they're a young family who are building an extremely nice home at the end of Ulmer. They are adjacent to the Meadowbrook subdivision. As a matter of fact, they're so close to city water that they only had to get a 15-foot easement across some people on Meadowbrook in order to have a legal right to access as far as laying line to get to Greenwood water. And I think that for lay people in particular, they have exercised due diligence in an attempt to try to comply with city requirements. This is not any type of a dodge. What we're asking for is for you all to allow them to go ahead and access city water. I've got them at a release hearing with Judge Hudson on January the 13th. Typically, the way that cities treat my clients is that means that the earliest that you all will allow me to come back before you and present you with an annexation ordinance would be your March meeting, because Judge Hudson's decision is appealable for a period of 30 days. If anyone were to show up and object from them being released from the county, and we wouldn't want to leave the city exposed to being a party to any litigation if that were to be appealed. The problem is that their construction loan comes due on February the 18th, and they cannot get a mortgage loan, which is necessary to pay off their construction loan, therefore preventing a possible foreclosure unless the home is occupiable. And one of the mortgage requirements for an occupiable home is that it has water to it. I think that this is something that serves the city's interest in that. First of all, this is a 2,300 square foot home, very nice. Even though they're a ways along in construction, a lot of the wiring, because the roof is not insulated and the appliances are not in, the countertops are in, but not the stoves, and also the plugins are not in. Some of the wiring is still observable, and they would be happy to have, for those parts of the structure that are not inspectable, they would be happy to have affidavits and specification reports submitted by their very qualified contractors. Travis Hopkins, for instance, was the one who did the plumbing. He's plumbed up in a lot of houses in Greenwood. Anyway, my point is, it's a 2,300 square foot house. It'll be a nice house for the city, but also I know that the last thing the city would want would be a situation where a house, God forbid, did get foreclosed on because of this problem and didn't get completed and became, a liability sitting there next to city property. They started in September of 2014 asking questions. Went to the county clerk, which turns out we're the wrong people to go to ask that question. But then they've been in conversations with Sonny and with Don and with Mike, and have made a reasonable effort to try to find out what they need to do. I think they got their cart a little bit before the horse.
through all of that. So we are asking that they be allowed to access city water, subject to them bringing a annexation ordinance back to you. I've already met with Judge Hudson, and he's going to release them. It's just a matter of, we had to run it in the newspaper 3 times, subject to him releasing them in January, and us coming back to see you guys in March about letting these young people become citizens of Greenwood. And they've got, by the way, their GIS release letter. I acquired that for them, and they've got their the written easement for them to lay the water line, which of course they would dedicate to the city as soon as they get laid.
I don't have any problems with that.
So I've worked with them, actually, I was going to volunteer my time to help them with annexation, but I received numerous complaints about me wearing 2 hats, and so I referred them to Mr. Gaston to get this done. I've known Sarah since she was in 2nd grade, and her family was with my neighbors for a long time, and I don't think there's any issue here. I don't see any scenario where Judge Hudson doesn't release them and allow them to come in, and I have no issue with you granting them the request.
Maybe you just want to tap into the water now.
That's correct.
Do we have a proper easement to get that?
Yes, they've got a recorded easement that has already been recorded, 15 feet wide, to lay water line.
And then they're going to dedicate
Proposing
that
water
to the
tap?
city.
This is a little unusual. We're putting the water tap in another subdivision, that their house, the back of it touches it, there's property, private property. And we began discussion quite some time ago and told the process, and that will be their line, it won't be the city's line, it's a private easement for them and their water line. The only question I want to answer is, how does that affect our ordinance we have on the books in regards to annexation, that you must be annexed before granting water tap? That's my question. I don't have a problem with it. We're willing to work with them and set that.
You got a tweet of
Well, the problem with this ordinance here, I can give you probably off the top of my head, I don't know anything, 3 or 4 examples of this happening. The people that signed this allowed it to happen on their watch, unfortunately. And also, and then the gentleman lives up there on Stewart Court, didn't we do something with him in the same regard? Obviously, I don't have a problem with this. It's odd.
We will just go ahead and approve it, and I will have next month a modification to the existing ordinance to give the council discretion.
For this one incident?
Yeah.
Well, the ordinance, in the future, the ordinance will have a clause in there that says the council has discretion to grant permission. That usually not in the ordinance. Does that make sense? So we can, people can appeal to us, and we can
Could
say.
we just have a resolution granting them this outside of this ordinance?
Can we do that?
I mean, we're granting them an exception to the ordinance by resolution. It would only apply to them and it goes away.
Yeah, I think it's better to change it.
If that's legal, should we do this?
If we amend the ordinance, then we have to publish it.
Yeah. Don't change the ordinance, let's just pass a
I'm fine with
resolution
that.
to give
The only
them.
problem is that you can't change the ordinance with a resolution, so we will have to modify the ordinance.
Can't amend it.
Now, this isn't some kind of little square out in the middle of nowhere, this is some congruent to our current
Yeah, I
city.
see, so, yes.
I
There's
don't know
two
exactly what we're talking
issues,
about.
there's 2 issues, there's whether we want them to come in the city and whether we're gonna let them tap on the water. And they're kind of different issues. We want them to come to the city and we want them to tap on the water. Just have to figure out how to do it.
Sonny, is there a reason why we don't want to let these people come in?
Rod, well, we're supposed to follow state law, and state law says that it has to go through certain processes that it hasn't gone through.
We're not talking about, eventually they'll annex, really the biggest time issue is can they
Well,
tap into the water?
y'all do what you want to. I mean, I'm supposed to go by ordinances, and
Sure.
And
Why we not going through the process?
I have no idea. We talked to Ms. Brownfield, Tim and I both, and said, you need to be annexed, you need to do this, get the easements, bring us a copy of the filed easements, and we laid it out in front of them on numerous occasions. And then I noticed the house being built, and I thought, well, they've decided to drill a well. And then Ms. Brownfield came in, I think in December, and says, we're ready to tap onto the water. And I said, wait a minute, that's not what we agreed to. And like I said, the state law on annexation says one thing, and y'all are proposing to do something else, but,
What does state law say on annexation?
It says annexation by petition.
No, I'm not talking about annexation, I'm talking about the water tap deal.
Well, we've got an ordinance.
There's not a state deal on the water tap deal.
We've got an ordinance, a city
I know.
ordinance.
All we're doing is, we're not trying to change state law or anything, we're just trying to alter our ordinance to meet what we think is the right thing to do for these folks.
Well, we had the same problem with Cornerstone.
Come in?
We had the same problem with Cornerstone.
Yes, I remember that.
And we've had other
We
instances.
made an exception for Cornerstone as well.
I know it, but
And Floyd Brown and his
And
office.
so what we need to do is make this ordinance consistent with what our behavior pattern is, which is to listen to people and do reasonable things on occasions at our discretion.
Well, we made some mistakes like
Sure we
on
can.
Cornerstone. I mean, we need to think out we need.
We made some mistakes.
I was here when this ordinance was passed, and the purpose of the ordinance at the time was we were going out and giving people water. That had no intention of annexing into the city. And that ran into all sorts of other problems, and that's what the purpose was, to say, if we're gonna provide you city services, you need to be annexed into the city.
the other
But we
problem that
kind
we
of
have
boxed
is,
ourselves in.
the other problem that we have, there's been no inspections on the house, so we don't know if it's been built to the code. Now, yeah, we can have the builders, say, yeah, it's built to code, but
We tried to annex 1,000,000 houses in Shadow Lake.
And they, yeah,
That
exactly.
makes no difference.
well, I mean, like I said, y'all do what you want to.
What, was he gonna look and dig up all the wiring in Shadow Lake if they came in and inspected all their houses and water?
No, but
That makes no
would
difference.
you want to live next to a house that wasn't properly inspected? That's what the whole thing is about, is to protect the people that live next door to you, and you can be one of them.
We're talking about annexation though now.
No, we're talking about annexation of a house that has not been inspected properly to assure the people who live next door to it that it is a safe health and safety issue. I mean, that's,
And I would just say that there is an annexation statute which has been adopted by the state, and that annexation statute does not require inspection.
Oh, we've been through that 1,000,000 times. We know all the annexation statutes.
I guess my only reservation is, you don't want to set a pattern where somebody builds just right outside the city, like circumvent inspection and the fees and stuff. Are they willing to pay for the fees?
Well, and, I mean, that's why I said that they are willing to subject themselves to an inspection. If Don charges a fee for that, then sure, they would be willing to pay it. And because, and when I mentioned the statements from the contractors, to the degree that Don feels like there's information that he's not able to give with a physical inspection, we will provide the next best thing. We just can't do the impossible. And this is a unique circumstance in that, I mean, I know Sonny's operating in good faith. I would just say if we got into it, my clients have a significantly different recollection of kind of not of what was said, but whether it was made clear of what the timeline is. As you do this, then you do this.
So are they needing a certificate of occupancy from the city of Greenwood for their mortgage?
No, they do not need a certificate of occupancy for their mortgage, because when they close on the mortgage, they will actually not be in the city.
Okay.
We will need a certificate of occupancy for the bank.
You will need a certificate of, usually the banks require a certificate of occupancy.
Yes.
So by doing this, we're just tying the planning department's hands, saying you will issue them a certificate of occupancy. And I don't like being in that area where I'm saying, you will, Sonny, provide them a certificate of occupancy. I mean, their job is to make sure everything's properly inspected and things are properly done.
And that's why
At the end of
I
that-
started with, they're willing to subject themselves to the most rigorous inspection that's possible. And they understand that your concern is legitimate. We're just saying, because of the way this played out, we can't go back in time and have the home inspected from ground up. But acknowledging the legitimacy of your concern, they are willing to subject themselves to whatever inspection is necessary. I mean, my anticipation had been for them to satisfy the bank that they have the right to occupy under county standards. But I can understand if you all didn't want to do an inspection, if you all want to do an inspection, like I said, they're willing to subject themselves to that. And I would ask them kind of some cursory questions, just.
Well, I think
Normally, after the judge releases the property, then the release will go to the planning commission. The planning commission can look at it and see if there's any issues as far as future development's going to be in that area that, that you guys aren't aware of. And then they would submit it to the council with their, thumbs up or thumbs down. So we're doing away with that.
We're not doing away with that. All we're trying to do, all I'm trying to do is let these folks have some water. There's plenty of folks outside the city limits that get city water. All the Shadow Lakes getting city water. If you may have to pay an extra rate if you're outside the city. But if
Well, I think we all realize all of these rules and things we're talking about are good things to have. They're there for a reason. They're there to protect the city and its residents. But this, as has been said, is truly a unique situation. These are the kind of people we want in the city.
It's the right thing to do.
The houses, they'll subject yourself. So the question is, how do we legally get?
I guess from here, things are kind of doing everything in hindsight, but I mean, you said there's a right-of-way has been filed. Has it been presented to Sunny or to Ken for their approval to say that they, is acceptable or, it works?
We just have to have something, when you run a private line across someone else's property, we require a document easement. I understand it's been done, I haven't seen it. It'll have to be filed, and we want a copy on file. Because since this was all done, I think the lady stole the property that originally granted them the easement, because their private line is going to be on someone else's property. That's to protect them, protect us, and all the other property owners involved.
what are our assurances this will be done if we go ahead and grant them?
The easement's been done, it's filed, it's on
It
paper.
is filed?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you just hadn't seen it?
It was done before she sold the house.
We just need a
I've
copy
got a
of
file
it.
mark copy with me.
Okay.
We obviously have to have a sanitary sewer design.
We're not being asked at this point whether to accept them into the city as being annexed. We're just being asked specifically to allow them to tap on the water so that they can get their house foreclosed on. Because at some point later, in March, you're going to come to us, and all these things that Sonny's talking about are going to have been done, presumably, and then we're going to decide, do we want this house in the city or not? And if we don't, we can say, y'all stay in the county, and you're going to pay this extra rate like everybody on Shadow Lake pays for their water, right? Or we can say, sure, come on in. And it doesn't change what you're doing over there in the planning commission. All we're really doing is making exceptions to this water deal.
But are we opening up, again, though, other people there all the road saying that saying, oh, we want that.
That's why we had to change the ordinance so that it can allow us to do what we've already done legally.
Well, and if other people on Ulmer want to petition to be annexed into the city, and that's why and then as soon as I got the case, hurriedly got a petition for annexation, is we wanted to show you, in good faith, they have every intention of wanting to be citizens here and don't just want to tap onto the water. Not because you all don't have the right to put people on water who aren't in the city, but because we think it serves everyone's interest for, if you're going to give them water, to have jurisdiction over them, to tell them, how many dogs they can have in their yard and how tall the grass
Well, I went
is.
to Mr. Hamby to try to keep this from happening again and ask him to write up an ordinance that either commercial or residential property, it has to be occupied for 60 days before it's brought into the city. And that would stop the cornerstones and things like that from happening, because they would have to come into the city, annexed into the city before they are allowed to get the services. Now, in the case of the people on down Ulmer Street, they've been in there for 60 days. They've been in there for 6 years, That's no problem. But it's the ones that come up and blindside us basically and say, well, I've already built it, now I want to come in. And especially the ones that we talked to them before, and we did Cornerstone, we did Mr. Brownfield, that said, here are the steps you need to go through. And on numerous occasions, myself, Tim, and it was not followed. And now we're in this case of, is my department going to issue a CFO on something that we don't really know
do we want to encourage people to be part of the city, or do we not want to encourage people to be part of the
Let
city?
you do
Because
whatever
to
you
me-
want to. You're asking my opinion.
Yeah, to me,
And-
I want people to come in and be part of the city.
And I do too, but I want them to come in the right way,
Right way.
the right way.
I think they're trying to do it the right way.
Well, that's what I agree.
And I think
Right
every
way.
law we've tried to pass.
I think we're-
prevent people that.
Well, it's like I said, we're trying to prevent people from doing things the wrong way.
You got the good chair.
My chair fell. I mean, I think they're trying to do it the right way. What you're saying, Sonny, I think is, you're right, I understand what you're saying, but this is where we need to have the flexibility to say, this is unique, this is different.
I guess I heard Ken
This case.
say something else as far as providing water. What else do they have to have on the road?
Well, obviously, they're gonna have to have a part of health sanitary septic system designed. That doesn't preclude them from getting the tap, but before they can before they can occupy the house, it has to be a design system, which I suspect that's probably occurring or has occurred.
Is that,
Yeah, well, I mean, it's,
We have a septic system installed.
It has to be.
He said it, it's a requirement, it's an underwriting requirement for the bank to give them the money. So we will get no further without that than we will get without water. So,
The only question for us is whether we want to let them tap on the water.
And how do we legally do that?
Well, I mean, I would make a motion to let them tap on the water, I'm just not sure
all right,
if we're able to do that.
My recommendation is that what you do, and then next month I will have the ordinance in place to modify.
So the way I read that at the bottom, there needs to be something that says, once intent to annex has been stated, the council may grant permission
Right.
to tap on the water.
That's right.
But
It's
is there a clause
really
in
one
that?
word instead of once the annexation process is complete, is once that is in process.
But to maintain the spirit and intent of that law for folks that aren't like these folks, there needs to be something at the end that says, it gives us the right, if the annexation does not follow through,
Right, I
then
agree.
we have the right to cease, terminate water services. Does that make sense, Mike?
Right, I can see that.
So the process would be, we have the permission, we can grant permission to tap on once the annexation process has begun. We also would withhold the right to withdraw water services should you not follow through with the annexation.
Yeah.
That way you don't get somebody come up here and teasing you with this and then saying, oh, we got the water, we don't want to come to the city now.
Which is obviously not the case in this.
No, I know that, I'm just saying, that maintains the intent of the
I
law.
would agree with that kind of verbiage there, because, I mean,
That maintains the intent of the
The
law.
verbiage is fine, but it kind of help us on the backside, if we charge them more for the water, and make more money.
So I'll make a motion, what am I making a motion? We
Make a
allow,
motion to allow them to.
in this specific instance, allow this residence to tap on the water.
I got a question. All right, so if you're going to, if James Fork was going to tie on, they inspect the plumbing. Because you got a municipal system and you want to make sure they haven't done anything to where the system's getting
like everybody else.
like everybody else. So we have not inspected their system, correct? So James Fork has inspected your system?
No, our plumber.
So we're tying on to a totally non-inspected system. You know, if they built the house in town, we would go inspect the system, make sure all the pipes are properly glued together, sewage is not going to seep in and poison our whole system, correct?
State plumbing code requires inspection.
Okay, so James Fork didn't do it because they weren't going to tie on. So we have a totally non-inspected plumbing system. We do not know if it's sanitary. So I would like to amend that to as long as, I want them to tie on, but I want to make sure we're tying on to a system that's been inspected somehow. And that may be
What you're saying they're willing to do.
Yeah, what I'm saying is anything that can visibly be inspected, I would suggest that we have Don go out, inspect everything that he can inspect, and anything that he can inspect. I can get with Don, Brody can get with Don and talk to him about what is the next best thing. You know, Travis can go out there and show him what all he's done that is visible and give him a written specification of everything that he's done that is not visible. So to me is the next best thing. And I agree with those who don't want to make a practice of doing that on every occasion, but this truly is unique in that these folks started asking questions in September of 2014, And I'm not wanting to step on Sonny's toes. They talked to him, they talked to Mike. Maybe the mistake was made on my folks' end, but they were operating, there's clear evidence, they were operating in good faith and weren't trying to get by doing something on
I
the
just
cheap.
want to make sure we're tying into a sanitary system.
That's a septic system, is it not?
Yes.
Your septic system does not, it has to be inspected by the state.
It has to be designed and approved by the state and inspected.
Right. Or any septic system that's put in
The
your
septic,
right, and that's what they had.
that's two different.
And not the plumbing from the house, you're just talking about the system
I'm talking
itself.
about the water system.
So would you be content with Tim's content, you're content? Tim feels comfortable tying on?
You're comfortable tying on.
I mean,
Is that right? You're comfortable that it's a sanitary system, even though it hasn't been inspected?
I have to say that,
I mean, but are you comfortable with him looking at it, and if he looks at it and says it's okay?
You say about the Hobbs, the plumber, I would.
Oh.
Elvin Tennant did the septic system.
So what we're saying is, my motion now, you're amending, you want me to say, to let the town water as long as they're willing to be subject to any inspection process the city would normally go through. Okay.
Or as nearly as reasonably possible.
Yeah,
given the
As
additional-
reasonably as possible. They cannot dig up the concrete.
No.
But I think that's true. I mean, we built this water system that we need to keep the integrity of.
Right. But Don can walk out there and see if the, what's on the outside spigots, the backflow preventer. To make sure there's backflow preventers on it,
Well,
the standards.
I mean, it's very common, and I wouldn't think Travis Hawkins will, but it's not uncommon to see vacuum hose breakers left off of the out.
Okay.
Spigots. They're all over Greenwood. That's a direct violation of plumbing code.
Okay, so if that was done, we do not tie on. But Don tells them, no, we're not tying on. But as long as it's good, then we're good. Yeah, I second that.
Just for the record, our plumber called Don Oliver to have it inspected. And Don Oliver was told by apparently Sonny Bell that he couldn't go out there during work hours.
Yeah,
Listen,
he couldn't.
hey, bro,
He couldn't go out there.
look at here.
Y'all ain't in the city, man, he can't go inspect the county.
Yeah.
But unless we direct him to, under
All
this
I'm
kind of
saying is
deal.
we were trying to make sure.
Yeah, everybody knows that you made a good reasonable effort.
We did try to annex that land a few months, years ago. Somebody,
I think,
yeah, folks not annex it.
do we have a motion?
Yeah.
Or a second?
Can I read the motion?
Please do.
Yes. Allow the brownfield residents to tap onto city water services pending approved sanitary and city building inspection. Is that right? Is that in there?
And that they, do come in, if they.
Well, we're gonna-
proceed with
we're gonna-
annexation.
We're gonna fix that
Modify the
ordinance.
ordinance.
Lee, is that your motion? Can I read it? Mr. Brown?
And again, I guess I need to hear the reading, so you said that.
Allow the brownfield residents to tap onto city water services pending approved sanitary and city building inspection.
As near as reasonably possible.
And you're saying that if we're
Well,
gonna
we're
fix
gonna
that
fix the
ordinance,
Is it approval?
And change the ordinance so that the ordinance says if people don't come into the city after intended it, we're just cutting the water off.
But that
Well,
ordinance
they-
doesn't him. What he's wanting is an
I would
amendment saying if they don't come in.
put what AC is suggesting.
Okay,
so
so,
it affects him as well.
Where if they don't come in 90 days, we cut it off.
so do you understand, Sean, what he's wanting to do?
You want to amend?
Back on there, sure. And if they don't follow through with the annexation, we reserve the right to turn for the water.
Okay.
And do I come back to you in March, or do I come to the planning commission in March?
So what would be the normal process for annexation?
We're so far off normal. Just make.
Well, I don't know if we are, man.
Yes, we are.
But just, I don't argue with Sonny.
Lee,
What do you
look
want,
at
where do
that.
you want him to,
That's state
shut up. Where do you want him to go next for the annexation?
Come back here.
Okay, come back here, that's fine. I don't know that the annexation has anything to do with water. All we're talking about is water taps.
I know, and you're talking about CFOs, you're talking about a whole lot of other
Just
things.
talking about, all I'm talking about is water.
Okay, but
Is
what are we
water.
gonna do about a
We need to tap
CFO?
on water. You what?
Okay.
What are we gonna do about a CFO?
I think it's all inclusive because that's the reason why people come into the city is for our water. And so you can't leave the cart before the horse there. That's why I think this stipulation needs to be on there.
The term you use, and I'm just gonna, you mentioned it earlier, Mr. Gaston, carport horse is what happened probably, sounds like, and I think everybody can agree, doesn't make any difference now, we are where we are. Everybody's trying to get it worked out, and I think you can and I'm gonna stop just for a second and say, I think Sonny's doing his job, saying what he's saying. and we all respect that and appreciate that. If he didn't do it, we wouldn't have a planning department, don't need a planning department. Whatever happened out there, doesn't make any difference. These are the people that we want in. It makes sense, so we got a motion and
Can I read the
a second.
motion again, please?
Yes.
Allow Brownfield residents to tap onto city water services pending approved sanitary and city building inspection. And council reserves the right to revoke this offer if the annexation process is terminated or unsuccessful. Does that sound right?
All right, Matt? Yes. Yeah, I got a question.
And I would say, my only concern, I think that it needs to say something, so that somebody's looking at this later on, that the inspection will be the best, the most, yes, as, that Don will inspect it as closely as reasonably possible to a normal inspection.
I mean, I envision some kind of piece of paper being given to the water office so that
Yes.
they are, and that's the approval.
It's just, it's like, whoever said, right, they're not gonna tear up concrete, probably.
Is that motion?
That should be in the minutes, I mean.
Right.
Okay.
I have a question though. All right, there's still, Sonny's got a point. This still doesn't address the CFO. What is your expectation on a CFO?
What's the CFO?
Certificate of occupancy, your final, they need one
Yeah, they will,
They won't be one until they.
until they have the annexation. Okay, no problem.
that was what yeah,
Okay.
I did this.
Also, are y'all instructing me to send Don out there to do inspections?
I guess, yes, I think. we have-
Without a permit?
They should be required to buy a permit and pay the fees.
We discussed that.
So,
He said they were willing to do whatever they needed to do.
Yeah, I think they're just starting over. I think, right?
they should be
Yes, that
required to buy
they're
a
willing
permit
to
and
just
pay the
begin
fees.
the process and even though the house is built.
Yeah, you're the boss, or you all are.
Okay, well.
Y'all need to add in the motion, you know, to entertain a building permit.
So I'm assuming what happened here, James Ford wasn't the time on, doesn't have.
Well, James Fork is far enough away that they told them they had no intention of coming to that end of Ulmer anytime in the near future. I guess they applied for a grant to try to service this part of Ulmer. They didn't get it, and they said, not interested. That was the first place they went after, or before they came to the city. After they talked to the clerk and found out you all supposedly were gonna let them in, charge them an extra 25%. Well, maybe James Fork will charge us an extra 25%.
We tried to bring that area in last year.
Ron, does somebody want the permanent addition to this?
I think it'd be a good idea. I think we should amend it again.
Okay.
Well, I could have that one word in there, pending approved sanitary city and building permit inspection.
When they make a motion, you need to ask him.
I'd like for her to read that one more time. How about that? How about we read it one more time?
Allow the Brownfield residents to tap onto city water services pending an approved sanitary and city building permitted inspection, and council reserves right to revoke this offer if annexation process is terminated or unsuccessful. Does that sound right, Lee?
Hey, wait, before we vote, let me ask you a question. Why not just come in, get the water tap at the 25% surcharge, and 6 months from now, or whatever, you can come ask to be in it? We already have all of that in place.
I think if they're,
We're willing to come in.
That's cut and dry, all that,
I mean, you can go out there right now and tell them the Greenwood water, suppose it'll run the thing, and we charge you 25% surcharge.
Our ordinance code, they keep it up.
no, the only time we can do that is if they're in the city limits. And we're talking about where walls or
Sort of, I like the annexation part, it's sort of an annexation tool. The two that were mentioned before Brown, the previous mayor made an agreement for a trade-off for a right-of-way through there, and then John made it, required one of those, and that was kind of out of my hands. We had, I'll talk 2 minutes, give me 3 minutes. 3 minutes, all right now. We had a gentleman who had an automotive store, you may know what I'm talking about. He had a tap that his father-in-law had acquired through an earlier easement agreement, and he wasn't willing to annex. He broke all of our codes. He lived in a structure with combustibles and had a manhole right in his front yard, and he couldn't understand why he couldn't tell him that manhole, because he was unwilling to was unwilling to annex. So it's kind of, we're not a rural water provider. At the time we made this rule, we didn't have enough quantity or quality of water. So we wanted to take care of the municipality and our citizens. So it's a good tool, if that's the right word to use. So I'm in favor of leaving it like that, but I'm also in favor of helping folks and providing water. I'm in the water business. I don't have any, we kind of set something special up where they can access this water line on this cul-de-sac. So, you know, I like the annexation part. I wouldn't forego that, but you certainly can if you want.
I don't think you can do what I just suggested based on the sources.
I think that would be correct. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think you can do
I
that.
think those people that get city water, they're outside the city limits for grandfathered in before
Yeah.
all that took place.
But, and I've got a quick, so how much is a building permit? They're tapped out on their financing, so now we're asking you to know.
You don't have to find Well, Sonny doesn't know, we don't.
Therein lies the problem.
We don't know how much bill.
Aren't they typically
Based on-
$800? They're the mechanical and the electrical and $170.
It depends on square
Square
footage
footage.
and how many outlets and.
But I typically see them.
How much is on the roof, how much he's in there, no.
You just got a sheet they go off of, and
They can be
they
over
apply for a building permit, and they add it all up, right? Put the figure on, and that's what you pay.
There's one I just posted that was like 1,200. But I don't remember the square footage of the house and all of that.
Let me visit with them about a couple of possible solutions to that, and I'll get back with you after your next meeting.
Any wants to hold the vote?
I would expect so.
So we're just gonna hold the vote?
You want them to hold the vote, right?
Mr. Gaston, do you want us to hold the
Yeah, if
vote?
you'll just wait just a minute,
Okay.
talk to my
We'll
client
go
for a
on to the
minute.
next
Well,
resolution.
I actually have something I need to interrupt if council is okay with. We have a new officer in the back that I'd like the chief officer to introduce so he can get home with his family.
Fill her space.
Mason Redding. His father, some of you may know, he's a chief master sergeant, Lionel Redding. He's over civil engineering at 188. Mason graduated from Paris High School in 2012, went to boot camp 2012, and he's currently in the Air Guard, Security Forces. Graduated Police Academy 18th. His first day was the 1st. And so Stuart knows his batting average for softball team's 800. You guys have any questions?
Done flat.
Until his kneecap can roar.
Yes. These are typical
Thanks for waiting,
meetings.
sorry.
You're seeing a typical council meeting. No, you're not.
Right before the Paris Cup.
Oh, that's right.
Paris Blue, that's right.
Yeah, great to have you, welcome.
Yes.
Thank you.
Appreciate you sticking around.
Yeah, thanks for saying it. You tell me how to say Renee. Okay, we want to move to the next resolution, folks. Well, Gaston, your business.
Fire station discussion.
Ooh. You want to go to three? Council, would you like to go to the action number one, or the old number one, while we're waiting?
Sure. Yeah, let's keep moving.
Okay. Police Department, this repealed ordinance, will intend to discharge firearms city limits as read.
We didn't wait him out.
Just say he's watching on video, so if you have anything to say.
Do you have any more thoughts or input on this? Last time we ended up tabling this because we kind of.
Well, there was an issue of being able to go out there and actually approve, I guess, ranges and I'm going to be liable for doing that. I don't know how I feel about that.
I agree with you, I think that's a bad idea.
How do you feel about the ordinance as it stands?
personally.
Yeah.
Legally, I don't have any issue with it.
Right now, right now, 1410 says you can shoot it with the acreage, correct?
Yes.
Shotgun, crossbow, whatever. Do we have stipulations on
I
that?
don't think there's any stipulations in the ordinance, right? Not that I recall. There's no doubt, and I went up and talked to the gentleman that was on that property, and it was portrayed to him that we were down here saying he was gonna be unsafe, and that's, I don't believe that at all with him, but I'm just, you know, anyone's got property next to school that our kids are in. I do have a kid there also. I don't know if the ricochet does something, I don't. Rifles can carry a long ways, and it concerns me. You know, we're getting to the time that every state's going to be varied, and that's a decision for you guys. I'll enforce what you decide to pass.
Chief, has he been shooting up there for a while before now?
I've never had any complaints of him shooting, and he hasn't said, he said that he downloaded the ordinance, read it, and thought that he could shoot, but wanted to come down and make sure that was true. Cheryl and I went through the ordinance, and my interpretation at the time, and without reading the ordinance, was that we were passing it for the area that we we're going to annex. That it wasn't going to include the, city limits that were already within the city limits. But reading that, it included everything. So, originally I came for just clarification on what you intend with the ordinance.
But it dealt with acreage, if you had a lot of acreage, or it'd be so many 150 feet from whatever, so.
I'm a hunter, I love hunting, I'm not against guns, but it concerns me by school, even at the safety point, if something ricochets, I don't know. And am I the one to go out to inspect a range? I don't think I'm the one to go out and inspect a range. And where's the liability if I go out and do that, say yes, and something happens? I'm certainly not an engineer for ranges, and I can't tell you it's going to be truly safe.
So we have the ordinance as written, right? I mean, we just do we repeal it or not, that's the question, right? This is all out there, we already passed. Nobody's really come to us, there's just this issue came up here.
Well, the Elmore gentleman was
He
didn't want to
He
repeal
didn't want
it.
to repeal it, but he's not in the city limits.
Right, exactly. He was saying, we went over, we spent a better part of a year
We did.
streamlining this thing.
He believes that we'll try to annex him again soon, and he just doesn't want to do this fight again. But if you put in the language, future, I don't know.
We need to put that about future annexation.
How many complaints do you get a year for improper firing of weapons?
I can't think of.
Yeah, but this is not something that's coming up a ton. Hey, my neighbor's firing weapons and he should,
No,
you're
I
not good
understand
with
this.
this.
There's been occasional, we go out there, we get occasional, there's shots fired and go try to find them.
But not, so my neighbor's firing it, has a target range in his backyard, everything like that.
No.
And this is Mr. McMillan we're talking about, correct? Maybe.
I wouldn't want to say any names, but.
Well, nobody's safer, probably. Nobody that I would trust, but it's a school. I mean, it's within
Well, he's not drawing down the hill.
well, he's not supposed to.
He says he's got a grandkid to go there, doesn't he? In the same role? I mean, not everybody's so crazy.
No, I agree, and he's not. I know him personally.
There's a different situation. Every person comes in here, Atlanta's it's gonna be a different situation.
So what is your opinion, though? We repeal this or leave it at that? Or modify it?
That's been a question you've been asking numerous times, my friend. It's hard, it's like asking my kid to do this. It's a little hard to get it pinned down.
I am pro-gun for sure, but there's concerns to me, I think is it 10 acres?
Yeah, I've got it up here. It's 10 acres or more, you can target practice.
I
It does
came
not
here and
say.
told you about how far even a 22 can travel through the air. I know it did some time ago. I mean, we're talking about a long.
Probably does that ordinance not say lands annexed after 2000?
Only with the shotguns section. 20 acres or
Loophole
more
there.
after.
There is
You
no
know,
provision
this
in
was
there.
all done for the annexation failed, I wouldn't think twice about repealing it and be done with it and approaching again at a later date if we need to. That's just from my point of the annexation committee.
I can tell you if there's a berm between me and someone that was shooting, I'm afraid of who's approving that berm and it's gonna stop the bullet. His case is shooting into the hill. So, like I said, each case is gonna be different.
It's not a man-made berm, it's just a side hill.
I assume that.
Cheaper than 48.
I think it's a case-by-case basis.
You need a 40 or your ain't, one thing.
At 10 acres, I'm really concerned with. And I think he's got 30-something acres. So
Well, I think it should be amended to where we do the 20 acres like we did for shotguns, because I'm thinking again, you said a 22 can go further than that shotgun. We expanded it for shotguns. I don't know why, somehow we didn't go ahead and expand it for, all guns, I guess, have that 20 acres minimum. But I kind of agree with Sonny that we did this, with the hopes of, annexation. That fell through. I'm in favor of just, repealing it.
I'll make a motion to repeal it until we get annexation back on the board.
I'll second.
You put it on the first reading on top of it.
We have a motion and a second.
What was the motion exactly? Sorry.
Repeal.
To repeal.
That's mainly what.
It's already there.
Repeal 1410, reading by title only. Okay, that's what the motion is. Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
Ms. Terry?
Yes.
It is unanimous. An ordinance repealing ordinance 14-10 declaring an emergency and declaring emergency. I mean, it's under emergency law. First reading.
Thank you, Mr. Gaston's.
Mr. Gaster?
Yeah, we would ask that you vote on the motion as read.
Okay, let's read that one more time. This is a record.
Motion is made by Lee Johnson, seconded by Rob Powell, to allow the Brownfield residents to tap onto city water services pending approved sanitary city and building permitted inspection, and council reserves the right to revoke this offer if annexation process is terminated or unsuccessful.
Fees.
Is that building permit, is that?
That
mean
building
the appropriate
permitted
fees?
means, yeah, they obtain a permit.
They obtain a permit. Okay.
Got
And
paid
by
for.
saying that, they would have to pay for the permit. So that would take care of it. Okay. I'm happy with it.
That's the motion.
I still, yeah, I say that.
First, we have a motion and a second on the floor, right? So we're prepared to.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
Lance Terry?
Yes.
It is unanimous.
All right, thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll be honest and say, I have no idea where we were. Fire station.
Two planning minimum
Yeah.
standards for this.
No,
Number.
Oh, wait, you're right, you're right.
we're down to number 2, fire station.
Remove the assistant chief out.
You go ahead.
Hopefully you guys will not have news when this came up.
Yeah.
Yeah. The purpose, and the reason we put this on here is because we've got, for one thing, we got to get this resolved for the construction company, but also the officers on the fire department felt like that they'd like to have our assistant chief speak for them. Not that I don't, but you guys are used to hearing them all the time. They've had a meeting and they'd like to make sure you know what their feelings are through Roger. And then I'd also like for Michael to talk to you a little bit about what we have value engineered off the project and where we're at on that. And then we can discuss that, and I know some of you have other opinions on whether this is a good project or not, but I'd like for you just, if you would, give my assistant chief a few minutes, and Michael a few minutes to tell you about the project as it is. Roger.
All, thank you for having me. I'm Roger Corbin. I'm the Assistant Chief of Greenwood City Fire. And I don't need a whole bunch of minutes, just maybe one, to let you know that the officers of the Greenwood City Fire know that we need a little bit more space. And we know we have other projects that's going to probably take a lot of money in the future. I don't know how soon, but this right here, and the way we understand it, we've got quite a bit of money set aside that this can be taken care of now. And we're just thinking that we need to get our equipment under a roof, take care of it. We've got a lot of good stuff that we don't like to be seeing outside. There's some additional little things that we need that we don't have the space in our facility right now. We would just like to say that although this is an expensive building, we would like to pursue that with the space that we own. The city owns it. And it's my thought, we don't own anything anywhere else that we could put something at this time. But we do own that, and it would be built like our buildings here, like the city hall, like the new police department. It'd be something we'd be proud of. And that's just from the officers right now. We would like to see this continue on. Is there any questions that I can answer for you right now? Then I'll just give this back to the chief, and again, I thank y'all.
Thank you, Michael, do you want to talk to him about the value engineering, or want me to do that? Okay.
Mayor, Council, Mr. Henry, Ms. Berry. So since our bids, you guys have a copy of the original bid tab on September 8th, we've been working back and forth with the low bid contractor, which was Southern Building Services. We met with them multiple times, trying to come up with different variations of pricing for this. We did an extensive VE package in this. We had 5 major items for VE, and they were listed on this original proposal. And then we came up with 9 more alternatives for pricing that were major items. We met with the chief and his staff with these items, and they elected to consider some different things. So we went back and met with the contractor again, and came up with a separate list of 8 items, which is what you have now. The original item number 1 was in the original VE package. That's deleting the fan that's in the covered parking area. And then we deleted dry fog painting inside the triple bay, number 2. Number 3 is a requirement for simple saver insulation. We're going to use standard metal building insulation. We had 8-inch deep simple saver insulation, which the building's heated and cooled. So that would help keep the air in, but 3 inches is fairly typical on a metal building, and it's what's in the rest of the building. We were just trying to get improvement on that area because it was new. And we had a fairly large area of interior remodel of the existing building. Stuart had indicated that some of their staff could do that and do some volunteer work in those areas and still get that work done. Or at some point, you're going to have to spend some money to do part of that because you're going to have to buy the supplies. The contractor's willing to take that item out. And they did note, there's a star there, and if you read the statement at the bottom, this is also their contribution to the project. They want to do this project. They have indicated to me after this meeting, they probably can't hold these pricing anymore, and they're gonna have to move on to their next projects. They've been holding their schedule since September 8th, but they were willing to take some extra money out, and they know that Strip's trying to get this down to a certain number, and utilize that, but they're gonna have to move on after this meeting. Then we deleted the door that had to do with that demo in between the two buildings. That's number 5. The sidewalk, that extended out to the walk out here, the city's walk. Richard, I believe in the Parks Department, maybe Street Department has already poured that sidewalk, so we took that cost out of the project. To omit the windows on the side of the bay, which we have glass doors on the front of the building, was a pretty good savings there. And then there was an overhead door that we were able to change to a sectional door instead of a coiling door, which saved us another $1,000 there. Our original base bid was $647. There's about $42,000 of deducts, as you can see here, so that gets our price down to $605, $442. And we have, we looked at this thing extensively, trying to get different things out. Part of the problem is it's a very small area. It's hard to do small square footage. Small square footage is expensive, especially when you're adding on to a building, you're making a connection, or having to tear part of it off. We're having to work next to the new building and work around existing utilities, so some of your costs there are more than what you would typically see if you were doing a standalone project. So, again, I appreciate the time that Southern Building Services is dedicated to the project and sticking with us so long. I know they've been frustrated several times, thinking that this was going to happen. We waited on the vote, we waited on this, and now we're here into the first of 2016, and still not sure if this project is going to happen or not. But I'd be happy to answer any other questions specifically about the project or what we did as far as the design of the project.
I've probably been more vocal about this than anybody, and I don't know who I'm talking to, Stuart, Roger, and I don't want to step in and tell you guys what to do, because you guys do this, but it kills me that at the end of the day, you're building a 3-car garage for $600,000. And that just seems completely out of whack to me. The cost of that are just, I can't get beyond that personally. It seems just way overboard in expense. And I know you need space, I don't doubt that at all. And so just for me, from a dollars and cents perspective, is if we can take this money and add other money to it and go out on the west side and do something, which I think we have an opportunity to do. And I know building a fire station you're talking about more money, but the county is going to tear down the ambulance service and build a new one back with living quarters for $1 million. And we're talking about a 3-car garage for $600,000, which just baffles me.
Actually, about 6.
The planning commission meetings that we have up here say that they had a discussion about commercial annexation of property on the west side of town and the possibility of annexation of commercial corridor 71, but they're reluctant to do so until the west side fire station is at least in the works. And so I feel like, we're holding up annexation on that side. I think there's a lot of value to have that discussion. And I might be completely wrong. I don't know.
I've said the same thing you're saying. I think you just got to know that that's $600,000 that you're not going to have when it comes time to build the west side fire station. If y'all are telling me, and I've said this to you before, if you're telling me this is where you want to spend your $600,000, okay, but that means you're not going to have that $600,000 when you want to go build your fire station out there, and we know how expensive. You're going to get $2.5 million out of this 10-year tax.
Hopefully more than that.
Probably 2.8. I think 2.8 was.
Okay, so 2.8. I'm ballpark close.
Yeah.
You know, you add another $600,000 to that, that puts you over 3.1 million. That's plenty of money to go build a very nice west side station, put all your equipment out there. And instead of doing this, go buy some land and build a big, you know, $2 million fire station out there. That's really nice.
We have a lot of discussion on the officers on our future plan, because I told them, I said, you would also ask to see some more planning. And we know there's a pumper in the future, because we have stuff that's going out of compliance. Our guy, they thought the reason we needed to go along with this right now is because for one thing, we can pay cash. Because when this is 8 months, when this is done, it was about 8 months, Michael, we would have the amount, we'd have $600,000 paid off. And then we would know what we had left to do trucks and stations, because our 10 years is going to kick in for next year. That's going to start at 10 years. And surely we're not going to spend that much money on it. But as you see here,
you just about to spend $600,000 on a garage. You know, I mean, that's why I just think, if y'all have looked at, I've got $3 million, and here's how I want to spend it. I want to spend $600,000 here, and I want to spend a couple $100,000 there, and I'm okay with your plan. I just, you know, I don't want to get to this point where we're 5 years into this deal and we're like, man, doggone it, we don't have enough money to build that station out there because we built this $600,000 addition to the building.
One thing, you know, Michael was saying that, you know, because you're adding on to this building, you're adding expense, it's small square footage, all those things. You know, I'd like to know, well, what could we come up with some chainsaw numbers, for lack of something to call that, of, you know, what would we like to build on the west side? You know, what would that look like? What are we talking about? Something to put a truck or whatever, storage, whatever, that you think is adequate on that west side. And let's throw a round number at it, you know, is that a $5 million thing? Is it a $2 million thing? You know, because, I mean, you're right. You build this fire station, you got to put a truck in it, and, you know.
Yeah. How much did we spend, remind me of, that's come up a bunch out on the Lake Technology?
It was $515,000 for that station. Now remember, it's not steel and brick. It's a wood station that look like a house. You can ask anybody on the fire department. Is it big enough? Not even close. We're scarring our truck set back in the end because it's so tight.
Well, so we should never.
So the back, the interior of the station, even though it's a 40 by 40, is big enough for two. We're putting 3 trucks in there right now.
So how much do you think the west station's gonna cost? You've got in land.
You're not talking about building something with living quarters and all that, right?
Well, yeah, that's the plan for the future. Is if we're gonna
I mean,
build.
you got living quarters over here that you don't use. Well, no, let's say, okay, assume you're going to go full-time, right? Logically, you would probably put them in this station first, the people. How long before you're going to put people on the west side?
Depends how quickly we grow.
I mean,
You have living quarters.
I know, and I'm saying in that scenario, you would build one and then you're talking about building something that 15 years from now or whatever, we're going to expand. You know, we're going to get adequate space and build this thing so we can add living quarters to it in 10 years or 15 or whatever.
Well, my thought on it is if we can build it now at this price, we won't be building it in 15 years at that price. Thankfully, the city of Greenwood built Station 1 for $275,000 17 years ago. However long it's been, it's been quite
So,
some
I mean, to
time.
me, when you make that argument, you're making an argument that Station 3, whenever we build it, it's gonna be, who knows how much money?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, it should be.
more than 3 million.
We would hope not.
Well,
We would hope
I
not.
know, but you don't know. I mean, before you spend your 600,000,
And that's what I'm saying, before we drop 600 in the hole, and I know you get a building, I get it, but before we spend the money, when you spend it, it's gone, let's have an idea what that is.
How much was the fire station that that Fort Smith built out there on Jackie Crossing?
How much? 2.8 million?
Which one was that?
On Charing Cross.
Wait, have y'all had these, do you feel like y'all fleshed this out enough? I mean, if you're saying y'all fleshed this out, you feel like
No, that wasn't exactly what I had said.
Well, I wanted to hear from somebody besides Chief, because we hear from Chief all the time. He's got you here. And so
Right
right now on the spot.
We were looking at our present needs. You know, I know land's gonna cost us,
Yeah.
especially when somebody finds out that, hey, we wanna build it. Yeah, we might have to pay $1 million for the right land out there. And we don't wanna be landlocked, so we need space. You know, so it's not just a little lot of 100 by 100, you know, we'll need a lot more than that. It's just that, when are we gonna do that?
Well,
When can we do that?
the tax, the whole, I mean, a big pitch on the tax from the first time. And the second time is this third station out west, and we still don't have an idea of really how much it's gonna cost, and we're about to spend $600,000.
It's like I told the mayor earlier today, his mayor, I mean, I feel a little bit like y'all on this. It was a shock to me that it's 600,000. You know,
Would you rather spend that 600, or would you rather go make a plan for the third station and spend $3 million?
Well, I just don't know how long that.
No, I say go
third
now.
station will be. Oh, right now?
Yeah, go build the thing. That's what we passed.
You gotta have something to put in it though, Lee.
Well, that's the other thing, you know, we will need to, we don't wanna get the problem we had when we built this station out
But
here.
right now, we have more equipment than we got space. It's
Our
right here.
equipment,
We need
yeah,
something
our
to put our-
equipment is actually not fired, you know.
But you got more stuff than you got more stuff than you got space.
Exactly.
So right now, what we need is space, not more stuff. So why not, instead of building the space here, go build the space out west, which is where we know we're gonna have to build it.
I would love to do that too.
Then let's go do it. I mean, you got $3 million.
That would, oh, we do?
Well, yeah, guess what the tax is?
I didn't know we had the $3 million.
We did,
You wanted to spend it all at one time and not have.
Well, we do, right? I mean, we passed the tax, it's good, we got 600,000.
I think that's
The only way we
was
can do
something
that,
that we
Lee,
did.
the only way we can do that is it's bonded. We'll have to go to the citizens
We,
and ask
when we
for.
went through this process and voted, Mike,
No.
correct me if I'm wrong, we can borrow money against that tax and pay the interest out of the tax too, right?
Sure, but only for 5 years.
5 years. 5 years. But you can build, yeah.
How much money?
So that makes me-
I know we paid $3 million for 5 years.
For 5 years. Part of the conversation was that it may be that we get our present needs taken care of, and then we
How
go
much
come
money
to
do
the
we have?
council
How
and
much,
ask.
you say you got 600,000?
No, Lee, it's my understanding we have 400 right now.
But we got this year left.
Right,
But this
before the
year
new
left.
tax kicks in.
But we still got this year left in tax.
So that's 600,000-ish, 650, plus 5 years of the tax, which is 1.5 million.
Yeah, but Dr. Johnson, what
So
you're
that's what you got,
doing,
$2 million.
that's exactly that's what we got ourselves in the problem, 10 years ago, when they wanted to spend 20 years worth of money on our taxes with the hopes that this would extend on, and I wasn't for that.
Well, but no, what I'm talking about is you got the tax, you got 10 years of it.
We've got 10
You
years
can
right
borrow,
now.
you can borrow against 5 of it legally.
Okay.
5 of it's 1.5 million,
Okay.
okay? Plus the 600 something thousand that you're gonna have. So you don't have a $3 million budget to go build a west station, but you got a $2.1 million budget to go build a west station. That's not bad. Can you go build a west station for
And
$2.1
here's
million?
another thing too, guys. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people bid this deal. 7, not just 2, but 7. And if you look at them, there's not hardly, maybe 5% difference between any of them. So the way I look at it, that's what it costs. Now, it'd be like you're a big parks advocate. It'd be like you guys getting ready to build a pavilion and the Parks Commission says, hey, this is what we bid. We got 7 bids. This is what it come in at. We got the money to do it. That's what we want to do.
And I'm okay with that, that's why I'm asking, I'm specifically asking you, and you didn't give me that resounding, absolutely, Lee, this is what I want to do.
You're right.
Or I would
There is a part
have
of
just
me-
said,
there
I would
is
have
a
just said,
part of me-
Roger, you're a good guy, you're a smart dude.
There's a
I'm
part
fine
of
with
me
that.
that
But
feels
you
like
waffle,
you did.
you You waffled, and so it made
I
me
just
get
know
that window.
that we've got that money to do what we
So,
need now.
so if you're looking me in the eye and you're saying, you need to, this is the right thing to do with the money, then I'm okay with it. I just want to hear that from you as a representative. You've waited all this time to say that.
I feel at a present need, it is the right thing for us to do.
That's fine.
That's the way I feel.
Okay.
I do feel that when that time comes and we do go out there at the east side, I think we're gonna be limited. We're gonna be real limited. I'd love to see it out there.
Well, you understand
Right,
that you have
I
this
see where you're
2.1 million,
coming.
and that's a pretty good chunk of change to
Yeah.
go try to build some kind of.
Personally, I'd love to do this for 400,000 and be done with it like I
Can't do
thought it
that.
was gonna
No,
be.
you
It's
can't
not
do
gonna
that.
be that way.
Yeah, you can't do
It's
that.
not gonna be that way.
Well, I'm not against it. I just wanted to hear from you directly regarding your thoughts on whether to budget 2.1 million for a West Station versus going in and spend the 600, knowing
Yeah.
you've kind of, at that point, we're not gonna do a
And
West
I will
Station.
tell you that right now, the West Station is over my head. You know, I haven't put that much thought into that other than knowing that it's gonna be expensive. I do know that we do need this, and we're looking at paving out there. There's a lot of concrete work that's gonna have to be done because we gotta move that stuff in and out. And there's,
That concrete works in these bids, right?
oh yeah,
That's
oh
not so
yeah,
much.
yeah, and we're gonna have to take that space back there, move this fence, we've got to have it.
I feel like I have talked to some degree
Mhm.
about the West Station and how to work through the taxes. And that's where this bothers me. Because I think if we spend this 600,000, we're guaranteeing ourselves we don't have enough money. Unless, to build a West Station, unless y'all don't buy anything over the 10 years of the tax and just let it accumulate to.
And it, you know, it came up to me too.
The chance of
I know
doing
it's in the budget, you know, but is there anything that the city can help out over and beyond this budget for the fire department? If you'll remember, years ago, we never had a budget for the fire department. It came from the city. If we wanted to have a brush truck, the city bought us a brush truck. Or, you know, or went out there and put a sled on it, and put us a upper on the back of it. The city did. Is there any kind of plans that the city might want to invest in?
We don't have no money. We don't have no money to help.
Again, and I'm a conservative guy. It bothers me that we are having to spend this kind of money. But we're going to have to spend it.
Yeah, I know. My only real question was, you know, is it better, I think if you spend $600,000 here, you've locked yourself into the most money you can budget is a 5 years worth of that tax that you could borrow against, which is 1.5 million, which is significantly less building than taking this money we already have and adding it to what we could borrow.
And I also feel that if we did take that out, that money, and started investing it over there on the west side, we're also going to have to look at, you know, some new pumps. A new pumper, because people, it's the same problem we had out here. When we first built that, we tried to build it where the homeowners would like a building.
Yeah.
You know, but remember what the flack that we got was, you stuck all your old stuff out there. Well, yeah, we did it, still operated it was still fine, but people want to see some new stuff out there. And that's the other additional cost that we're going to have to, you know.
So this $600,000 addition, will it accommodate a new pumper?
Oh, yeah.
In addition to
Oh,
what
yeah.
we're doing?
Oh, yeah, we can back it, yeah.
So what I'm hearing is we're gonna, this money, we'll spend $600,000 here. How much does a new pumper cost?
$500,000.
So $500,000 on a new pumper, so that's $1 million. That leaves you about $2 million.
Right.
Something like that on tax. What else are we gonna spend with that money?
West Side Station.
Can you get it? from-
Our
Well,
thought as the officers,
Are you gonna-
we came up with that and said, build this, buy the other pumper, because engine 3 is in a state now where it needs to be taken out as a frontline pumper and made a reserve. And then everything else goes towards the west side.
And so you're just gonna put it in the savings, we're not gonna buy anything, we're just gonna park it.
Start parking it until we can
Wait
get
for
the
the
money,
next tax.
see if we can find it.
No.
No, I mean, that's okay, I'm okay with what.
No, you wouldn't wait until the next tax, you would basically be, it took, Well, 600,000 now, it'll probably take another year to get enough for another pumper. And then everything else, probably 9 years of tax go towards Station 3.
8 years, yeah.
Something like that. So, and so that's kind of, that's what we came up with. How do we get our biggest bang for the buck out of this and still be able to get
That 8 years, we're just going, and I'm okay, I'm not, but take that 8 years and we're just gonna park it in the bank. And then at the end of the 8 years, we'll have 8 times 200, so 1.8 million in the bank. And then we pass the tax again, and you borrow 5 years against the tax, plus the 1.8 million.
All right.
That gives you 3.5 million. Which at some point you gotta borrow the 5 years.
Yeah, somewhere in there, we're gonna have the money to buy the land.
Yeah.
You know, and that's.
There was another conversation in the meeting where maybe we buy the land and then come to the city council and ask, let's put a bond on it. And in the bond, we want to ask for what we got. Now, that bond may extend out past that 8 years. It would just be you pay until it's paid off, like the police station, and it's done. So we could artificially extend the tax a year or 2 or 3 by the citizens saying, because we talked about maybe the station's going to cost 3. Let's go in there year 2 of the tax. Ask the council, do you want us to just save money? Let things go up. Let things build. Or let's go to the citizens, ask to borrow $3 million, and out of that $3 million, we're going to build a new station. We're ordering new pumpers. Station's going to be completed in August. Pumpers show up in October. We open the doors, back them in, we're done. And then you just pay out. And they just continue to pay out. We're done. I mean, unless we got some extraordinary growth. That is a conversation that we've been having in the office.
So I'm okay with all that.
And
I just wanted to flesh through that in my own head and think about it, and make sure everybody's having the same
So
conversation.
it may not be that 8 years could be enough. It may be that we really did need 10, but if we come to the council and the council says, yeah, let's put it on the ballot, pass a bond. And because maybe we don't want to borrow for 5, maybe we just want to get the whole thing done and be done with it. That is a conversation that's been happening, but, you know, right now, like Roger said, the thought was we've got things that we've got to take care of right now. Some of this stuff is so long range, it's years in the past. We don't know what we want to save. We don't know if we want to go to council and ask to put it on for a bond. But this, they said we could do for cash.
I did want to address Daniel's. When we talk about the building like the Station 3, you know, we pretty much have to include some living quarters, some bathrooms, maybe a meeting room in that. In the future, maybe you can build it 2 stages, but in the future, when you maybe go to a full-time department, I mean, you're probably not going to have 40 full-time firemen. You're not going to be able to afford it. But you may have 2 per shift or 3 per shift where you can station one of them out there, one of them here. I mean, to me, as a taxpayer, I'd rather be split up out there doing their job, cleaning equipment, as opposed to sitting down here all talking and watching television. You see? So we have to plan that building with that in mind. It's not just go out there and put up a 3-car garage and back them in there.
No, and I think you're right. I mean, I think, you know, I don't really want to say this, but I'm going to say it. So.
I've said more things I wanted to say, not several times.
I think we can get the land from the school. And just relax on that a minute and let me work on that, okay? Okay. And just leave it at that.
Okay.
So,
because I was kind of under the impression that kind of dried up on us.
Well, it kind of did, but I've been working on that.
No,
so just
that'd be wonderful.
Let me work on that. Let's leave it at that.
Okay.
But I think if you can get on the west side, you want to build a nice building.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be sitting on 71 Highway. I think we need to think about growth on that western corridor, on that 71 corridor. if we're waiting 10 years to do whatever, well, what happened to the growth? You got your ISO, when you draw this fire station and say there's a truck in there, even if it's an old truck, and the ISO guys say, okay, good, you got more stuff in the circle.
And that's what we completed out there.
Yeah, that's what we accomplished out there, and we saw the results of that in that ISO. That's another feather in your cap if we can get out there and do that, but, you know, we just gotta think our way through it. I mean, I don't think any of us are trying to argue with you.
No,
I mean, we just gotta.
Once that $600,000 is gone, there ain't no getting it back, man, it's gone. And if we get down there 2 years to the end of this thing, go, man, we got this opportunity to build this station, the schools give us this land, I wish we had this $600,000 back, and we could just jump on it. And I think if the station out at Mazurk costs $2.8 million, I think it's not, I think I'll be surprised if we build one much less than $3 million.
How big is that? Like that station at Chaffee Crossing, that's huge. I mean,
Not as big as you think it's not that big, man.
but what we're talking about on the west side wouldn't be that, right? I mean, his living quarters is
Hey,
probably big.
man, it would be that.
I would almost look at something like that.
I've been in it, it's not as big on the interior.
I think it's an awesome looking building.
Well,
I
when
think
it
it'd be
sits on
awesome to
that
be on.
hill, it looks, it's impressive when you go down and look
I
up.
think if that's sitting on the little knoll out there staring at
Oh, yeah.
71, it'd look great.
The Bay Area is probably gonna need to be about that size.
But you're talking about $3 million. I mean,
That's why, Stuart, when you say, when I say $3 million, you say, well, I hope we can do it. Well, surely we can do it for less than $3 million. Well, I think you're crazy if you think you can do it less than $3 million. I think it'll be at least $3 million. And you're the guy that builds all the buildings. What do you think it'll be? 3.5?
I mean, until you know what's in it, it's hard to say.
Oh, that's spoken like an architect. That's like Mike not wanting to tell me his opinion.
even if we get the land,
Do you
you
think
gotta
it's
deal with
3
dirt.
million? Could
I
it
mean,
easily be
what's
3
that
million?
doing, you know?
Easily be 3 million.
Can you not just go with a sign contract?
I mean, you look, Stuart's got all kinds of cheap magazines. Stuart's got all kinds of fire chief magazines you guys can look through, and you can look at stations all over the United States, and you can see the price per square foot. It's not cheap construction.
Yeah.
How did we
Because
get
there's
this
a lot of
out
training and a lot
so
of,
cheap?
do what?
How did we get that one so cheap then?
Okay, this building out here is a residential, now, I was gonna mention this before, this is residential construction out here, we did, minimized it. One of the problems, and this is kind of referring to the land, and I mean, I don't know anything about this full piece of property, so don't take this as I'm making a comment about that. But the problem that you had out there was you had a donated piece of land that was too small to put the fire station on. It really was.
I'm not
So
talking about
the
that.
station got smaller to fit on that piece of property. So we basically maximized the bays as much as we could because there was no more room. You guys know how you have a hard time turning the trucks in and out because there's no link. You're accessing it out of another parking lot. If they ever do something in the parking lot, close it. You can have to back everything.
So as far as just the structural blueprint of that building, what is wrong with that? Fire Station 3.
Not big enough. It's almost not big enough for itself. If you remember, we're talking about Station 2.
Yeah. Those exact blueprints.
Yeah, that wouldn't be sufficient at all, especially.
What if you
especially
built
with
that
area.
fire station with the garage, just like this picture that you got right here, out there?
We were talking about that several years ago. Michael even drew up some stuff for us on basically almost identical Station 1 out there. That was 1.8 million, and that was, at the end of Kent's administration, remember correctly.
Yeah, and I think.
So it's been what?
You have to go back and look, but I was thinking that we were talking at that time something in the $250 worth of grant. Because we didn't really know what was in it. So you multiply that by how big you want to build it.
Well, I'm not looking for some kind of big Taj Mahal out there. I'm pretty sure we told another department that wasn't the center of town in the future to build your thing in town. Well, certainly we told another uniform department that.
Well, it has everything to do with on the bay, Tim. If that's the area we're gonna get larger structures, if we ever get hotels, we're gonna have to have bigger trucks there because of that. And then to be in those trucks, you're gonna have staff to do either. When I talked to the school about their stuff, I talked to them about having an education room in that facility. If we were able to get some of that property, that way it could be a partnership, and that's another additional room. But that's the thing, that's something we have to sit down, and I sat down with Michael, as I said, about 5 years ago, when we planned out a Station 3, And then it got shut down by an administration that came in that was against anything we did, so that stuff got put on the back burner. And since then, 1.8 or 2 millions went up, and right now, we have stuff all sitting outside because of that long drought of us doing much, and keeping our head down and making sure we stay out of the limelight. And now it's coming back to say, hey, we got stuff out here people give us, pay a lot of money for, it's right, not necessarily
And
right,
that-
but
yeah,
we're
that's-
having issues.
That's what I wanted to say too. A lot of that stuff was not bought by city money. It was donated, and I mean, we've got a lot of nice stuff, but it's not come at the city expense. Part of it has.
I don't have any problem with the addition. I'm like everybody else, it's a whole lot of money, but I know it's necessary, but.
I wish we could see it smaller. I worked with Michael, and we said for a long time, I think just the steel and concrete for the building was 200,000 of it.
Right.
Not even talking about the drive area.
Right.
And so, and we talked about what could we do to have other departments help us out, but it just ended up being, this is gonna be the cheapest way to do it. I don't wanna spend that much money. I'd love to see this go for Station 3.
Right.
But I've got a department screen that require we letting stuff rot outside.
Well,
And it's the officers, it's the guys I put my trust in. And so
What's outside?
Hmm?
What's outside right now?
Let's see, we've got one break outside, we've got, one of the trailers outside, we've got the big trailer that was donated by farmers and partially paid for by us, outside. We've got, another truck that's outside.
We have one truck in
We
storage.
have one truck in storage over
That
at
we're paying.
Callister's.
The new engine 3 will be outside when you get it.
And, yeah, well, or it'll be somewhere, it'll be at Station 2 and then Engine 3 will be outside. So our problem is, if we're waiting to build the money up to build Station 3, we've still got stuff sitting outside right now that needs a place to go. And so,
Well, there's another discussion somewhere on our agenda too, about storage.
Yes.
I mean, as a city,
Bottom line is your personnel board wants this, and that's in their best interest, and that's, so I'm not sure I've been driving about this, because once that was said, it should have been over with. Because every other department, whatever their board or commission or committee says it's within one, we say, yeah, it goes for it. So I'm not sure why we said here are 35,000.
I understand because
Period.
I want to see the ISO go down with Station 3. And I know Station 3 is going to cost a lot of money. Or what we said and talked about was if we can get this bill, pay cash for it, then we know in 8 months, the rest of that money for the next 10 years plus half a year is going to go for one more truck and everything else to the other station. I don't want to see us spend 10 years of tax money on one building because we've got trucks in it too. So we're going to have to find a way to build it maybe in sections. But, I mean, Michael knows what it costs, and we're in the same situation we were in the last 10 years. They passed the 10-year tax, and they said, okay, we need Station 1, Station 2, and Station 3, and trucks to go in it. And we said, guys, it won't work that way. We don't have enough money in those 10 years out of a quarter-cent sales tax to pay for all that. Same thing happened on your pool and all that other stuff. It just won't generate that. So we're just trying to do what we need. This is coming out of the needs of the department right now. It's kind of like when we bought the rescue and the brush truck. Those were our practical needs. Did they help our ISO rating? We didn't think they were going to. They actually have. Our practical need was the ladder. And so after we got those bought, then we said, okay, now what we have left over to spend on the ladder. And we were able to get that worked out. Things worked out for that. And so right now, the personnel board's at Stewart. That's 5 years in the future, 3 years in the future. Right now, here's what our need is, and here's what we're asking you to ask the council for. And so I'm just asking you what our department officers are asking me. Yes, am I the chief? Absolutely. But I put a lot of trust in it.
So what do you want from us? What we do?
I would just like to see, I mean, and I'll shut up about it. I'd like to see us, give us some time. It's a lot of money. Let's do the right thing. I mean, I'm still $600,000 to put $100,000 worth of equipment in. It's blowing my mind.
Well, that other pumper is not going to be.
Right.
I would agree that would be.
And not only that, but I don't know if you're looking at it, it's actually deep enough pile two. It's not, you're gonna have one truck backing in each bay. It's base deep enough for six vehicles if you're putting our regular pumpers in. So it's not small. It's the same blueprint as the station. And right now we have two, the engine and the rescue back to back at the station on one side and the tower on the other. And so it's not just big enough for one truck in each bay.
Well, I understand the other thing too, and Daniel, like I said, you were there, pushing, helping us get our first ISO, thing there, so you know all about this too, but, it's one thing building a garage, I agree with you, that does sound like an astronomical amount of money, but also when you build it to NFPA standards, that puts a whole different, valuation point on it and stuff, because it's, we could build a three-car garage, for our strip trucks and stuff and do it for a lot less because it doesn't have that, NFPA standard on there. And that's really to be in compliance with that, and that's really what we have to do as a municipal fire department. We're not, we're a first-class municipal city, and in order to be in compliance with that, so that we were addressing about our pumper is getting phased out where there's not going to be NFPA compliance anymore. It's not the fact that we still can't use it. That's not going to be our first choice, and that's really what's behind a lot of this is just trying to beat the NFPA standards.
Well,
and that's really what.
This one area, since it is going to be a garage, or I say garage, a place where we're putting storage. Since we're not going to be running directly out of the first run engines, we're not going to have to put in the exhaust systems and stuff like that. So if we decide to be running a truck out of it every 5 minutes, then we would have to do that when people start living. As long as people aren't living there, we don't have to put the exhaust systems in yet in this time. When we build a full-blown station, we have first-running trucks going out, which means trucks will go out to the initial call. Then we're going to put the exhaust systems in. And those things are about 9,000 days, something like that. So I would like to ask Michael, the reason we brought this up is the construction company is saying this is our final week where we're going to drop the thing and the bid's no good anymore. Michael, what do you think if we said let's punt a little bit for a couple months, what's going to happen?
Well, if we go back to bid, there's no guarantee that, right now you got a price of $605. So if we go back and bid, we take out all these line items that are on here, there's no guarantee that the next bid will be $605. It may be $650, it may be $680. There's a point that I don't have any control over. Once the documents leave my office and they're out for bid, I don't have any control over the pricing. All that comes from the general contractor. And as for, and I'm trying to be sympathetic, as for the reference of it just being a garage, it's not just a garage. The price per square foot is really, it's only $144 a foot, which is small for a commercial building. It's expensive because we're adding on in a small area. I was hoping that the entire thing might come in around 100, but it's not. That was my initial thought. It's not, but you can't even build a house. They're not even building houses for $100 a foot. So the price should only be $144. It's not really that expensive. It's just that when you say the word 605, that's a lot of money. It is a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but it's not a very expensive building for what it's being built. So, I'll add that to the conversation.
I just wanted to feel like we had thought through it well and had an idea and knew that we're spending money that's going to, we're not going to get back, that could be going for Station 3.
Yeah. And again, it doesn't matter to me who you use. We've just been working with the low bidder because they were the parent low bidder. But if we go back out 6 months from now or whenever, I have no idea what the price will be. It's not going to be 605, I can tell you that.
I don't think you want to delay 6 months. I think if we all did our thing, 6 months, you gotta go talk about it, right?
Yeah. Well, the contractor's been.
You've been out and done no time.
Yeah, the project bid on September 8th, I believe was the right date, it was the September City Council meeting. Typically, we only hold the bids for 30 days. Originally, after that point, you guys had some issues. We wanted to wait on, see what happened with the tax. The contractor agreed to wait until after the election. For courteous of you guys saying, okay, well, I can hold it another 60 days. Well, we've been holding it almost 5 months now. And his subs are not willing to wait. One of them, he's a little skeptical of. He's called and he said, okay, we're going, if we can get approval this month, we're good on board. But if it's past this day, his bid's no good. Since it's been past the 30-day time period, which is the statute in the spec, we can't go to the next low bidder. We would have to rebid it. So past tonight, everything's, I mean, it's going to have to be rebid. So we don't
So
have
the
an
plan is, we're gonna build this, we're gonna buy a pumper, that's $1 million-ish, and then we're gonna save everything else for a new station. Everything else goes towards a new station, that's what you're saying. And you're not gonna come back 5 years from now with a new ladder truck or some odd thing. That's, you feel confident that's your 10-year plan.
That is our plan now, is how our city's laid out. Say someone comes in and puts in a nice hotel, or something happens like that, that may change our needs on the ladder truck for the future. That might change needs on something, but right now,
This is our plan. Accommodate a ladder truck anyway.
Which one?
This new addition is just gonna accommodate a pumper.
No, well, I mean, this right here is gonna accommodate things we have now. And if that isn't gonna be long enough, you could probably put the one we've got down in it. It's gonna be tall enough. Oh, absolutely. It would be big enough to put one in.
Not a second.
A second, yeah. It'd be
And
large
pumper.
enough. It'd be large enough to put a second, the aerial one. I mean,
They're stacked, it's stacked.
yeah, it's 2 foot taller.
We could probably put two of our brush trucks in one garage, but it's all
So
stacked.
if you decide 5 years from now that you bought this pumper, you spent $600,000 on this, you put $500,000 on a pumper, and now we're 2 years into saving money for Station 3, and, oh, no, guess what, we need another fill in the blank.
Well, I'll fill in that
Is there
blank for you.
Is there room for it out there?
That fill in the blank might be a, not a pumper, but a,
Hovercraft.
no, a tanker. Because if we start, letting places go where we don't have hydrants, we've got to have a tanker.
Is there room for, is
There's
there
no room for a tanker here.
and the pumper truck, and the ladder truck? So if y'all decide at some point that you need more stuff, the next, there's gonna be room for it. If you decide, we're gonna spend the third station money, instead of, the needs have changed, we gotta do something different.
We'll have room for it over here. We have to get us a new engine. We'd have room for it here. And if we had to do a tanker, which I hope we don't, I hope we have hydrants, because that's what,
But we just took in a house that doesn't have hydrants.
you know, so, I mean, those are issues you need to look at. But yes, we can operate it over here and keep it in the store.
So the $600,000 is getting us what y'all feel like is enough storage, that if you change your mind, or needs change, or whatever, the intent is,
The bigger trucks would.
because I just want to know the plan, that's all I'm trying to figure out. The intent is to spend the $600,000 for storage. The next purchase you're going to come ask me for is going to be a pumper truck. And then after that, your intent right now is to save all that money for there. But if something changed and some truck broke and you needed a new truck, or there's enough room out here,
It is actually 2 feet taller than a.
you're not going to be back here going, man, we got all this stuff in the rain, and we got to put another $600,000 addition on the $600,000 addition.
I don't see that.
I'd say if we had to
Because
have.
that would be the other comment that we've made up here is that, okay, if we're going to do this, then let's make sure we're doing it. If this is what y'all want to spend money on, let's make sure we're building it big enough.
Right.
It's gonna be one of those things where if we do have to get first run trucks, stuff has to go back out.
I make a motion, we let the bidders go build this $600,000 addition to the fire station one.
Second.
Have a motion and a second.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
I'm gonna abstain, and I'll make a comment afterwards.
Mr. McDaniel?
No.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
Lance Terry?
Yes.
Carries. Motion carries. Is that right?
One, two, three, four.
AC, yes. Lee Johnson, yes. Yeah, Ms. Rogers, yes. 4 yeses. There we go. Okay, it carries, yes.
Comment?
Oh, I was gonna make a comment on why I abstained. I didn't abstain because I'm a fireman, because we need all the firemen's votes for passage. I abstained because of my business. I commonly bid on things, but when Michael brings them to us, I have no idea if that particular general contractor is actually using me or not. I have no idea whether I was low bidder. In this particular instance, this contractor's been calling me, asking me to value engineer. He didn't use value engineer. He just says, how can you make it cheaper? You know, so I would assume that I was the lowest bidder. Now, he might have had two guys, you know, somebody else he used. I don't know, but I'm assuming that I was actually doing the job. So in this instance, I've got a vested interest, so I abstain. And y'all didn't need my vote for passage.
Council, I appreciate it, and Daniel, we will do our best to make sure that, for one thing, you're going to be proud of this, but we're going to be working on the other station. We are working on it, and the one thing that the personnel board came to me and said is, hey, if there's a chance some land comes up for the purchase of an engine, and we need to jump on it, we'll do that first to get that land out there and establish a place to put the station. And that hadn't been discussed tonight, but that's also what the wishes of the fire department, to make sure people know that we are committed to station agreed by either land purchase or whatever we need to do.
Thank you, Chief. Sir.
Since you guys have voted to approve the B items that are listed here in the 605, 442, typically when we do the bids, you authorize us to vet everything and move forward with that. We've already vetted all the previous bids, but do I have the authority to move forward with the contract for this amount and enter into a contract with the mayor? Michael will review our documents that he does typically.
He said yes.
Thank you, Michael. And thank you, council. That didn't take long.
No.
I believe we are on what we think is number 4, but it's actually number 2 on your list. Does that sound correct? Minimum standards? If that doesn't confuse you.
I'm confused.
Still awake, Sonny?
Michael, if you check into that hovercraft when we get back.
Mayor, Council, Ms. Perry. Tonight we've got on the planning, the minimum standards ordinance. In your packet, I put 2 more pieces of information on it. First one is the minimum housing complaint form. This will be the form that if somebody has a complaint and calls code enforcement or even comes down to the water department, that's what they would fill out. The code enforcement and also Don and myself would have copies of this too in case the phone call came in.
So if this one is passed, and say some woman called and said there was trash in the neighbor's yard, they're just leaving out all week long, nobody's coming and pulling it up, and just makes the neighborhood look atrocious.
That's right.
So they would go down there with this trash accumulation in yard, and they check that one. Do we have the ability to do that right now without this ordinance?
Not to this extent.
This gives us more teeth.
Yeah. For example, Daniel had a call from a lady that has neighbors that leave their trash cans out.
Man, I can't imagine what that calls like.
But our present ordinance doesn't cover that. The minimum standards does. And also, the second thing that you have on there is the guideline checklist, so that Jarrett can go through a property that's had a complaint on it, and he can go through there and look for other violations while he's there. This basically covers, rental property and things like that, because, you're not going to call them to complain about your own house, but this is either the neighbor's.
This is the kind of thing that a citizen would fill out and then turn in.
But the checklist is mainly for Jarrett to go through there, and he would look at all aspects of it. And again, we originally talked that some of these things on the checklist, we would need Don to go with him, plumbing and heating and air. If it was a fire hazard, he'd want the chief to go with him and back him up on that. The last item on there is, this is something Tim said he liked about it, so I thought I would bring it to your attention. It's section 11, this is the fines. And they're get progressively worse the longer that you are not in compliance. The other one was real vague about it, what we could do about somebody that wasn't in compliance. It was 10 days, and what you do at that point. But this tells them exactly what it's going to cost.
That's this last page.
Yes, sir.
And by passing this, he's got the authority to issue those fines.
Yes.
Does it need to say that he specifically has the authority to issue those fines?
I think
It's in there sufficient.
yeah, he is in that.
If they don't pay, if they just say, I don't care, I'm not paying. I mean, we got enough teeth to.
What you do then is you issue a criminal summons and you pay for the charge.
We got
That puts them in our court, basically.
So does this have, if we're going to put this ordinance on for second reading by title only,
Yeah, and.
is this form going to be part of that, or?
Pardon me? Yeah, that's part of it.
Okay.
But that's kind of internal form, but I just want to show you how.
So that's not anything we have to necessarily
No.
act on?
But what I would like to ask you tonight, if we could put this on, go for the emergency clause and go for the second and third reading so that we can get started on enforcing some of these things. Apparently, you guys are comfortable with it. Everybody that has looked at it says it's a good thing. Charlotte has put the emergency clause on it, and I'd like to ask you to go ahead.
We can pass it with the emergency clause. Will you go over and talk to that lady who's got the 2 trash cans and keeps calling me?
Because she's persistent, she's
Oh,
not,
yeah.
she's not calling just Danny
She
or
called me
Bud.
and just, she says.
She's very sweet on the phone.
Oh, she says, I can't believe how much cleaner that place is over there since y'all went over there and talked to us. She said, but there are 2 trash cans out front, and,
I make a motion, we put this ordinance on for second reading by title only.
Second it.
And a motion and a second.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Terry? It's unanimous. An ordinance amending ordinance number 316 of the city of Greenwood, establishing a minimum housing standards and establishing regulations for enforcement of standards on residential and commercial property and public premises.
Charlotte, I think we left out the word emergency clause somewhere. Fourth where, the third where.
Well, the emergency clause, if it's okay,
Is it should be at the very
is at the end, in subsection 12.
yeah, that's what I would.
It's usually in the end, but I noticed.
It's in the title as well as the general format, but as long as you have it in there, it's
Yeah, I see on page 15.
I make a motion, we suspend the rules and waive second, third reading.
Second.
Just the third reading of it.
third reading.
And first and second.
Yeah, third reading.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
And
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Motion to adopt ordinance.
Second.
Motion second to adopt.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Terry? It's unanimous.
Motion to enact emergency clause.
Motion and a second to enact the emergency clause.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Terry? It's unanimous.
Thank you, Sonny.
Thank you.
Mr. Bowles?
Now we can get started on some of the stuff.
You need your phone number?
I have it on speed dial.
Okay. 3?
Well, yeah.
Huh?
Yep.
Okay. Moving on down the road, it's actually number 3 on your list, but it's actually, anyway, we'll call it number 3. Resolution to adopt purchase card policy. Have that in your somewhere.
Yeah.
This was discussed previously, and then you guys added a sentence, I think.
And those changes were made in section 9.
9.
Second paragraph.
motion to pass this resolution.
We have a motion and a second to pass the resolution.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Terry? It's unanimous.
Thank you. We moved 4-1, are we at 5? Okay, water distribution.
Yes, I'm asking to amend the 2016 budget capital improvement. I didn't include this in the 2016 budget. It was a project of 2015. We thought we would be paid out. It's been paid out. I just knew we'd be paid out, so I didn't include it. Then bad weather rolled in. The project's going to start tomorrow. Very small project. It'll probably be done in 2 weeks. Very small project. Originally, we budgeted 25,000, then it came in at 25,200. We may be under the 25,200, don't know for sure, but I'm asking to increase it to 30,000, just in case we have a few overages, so we'll have to come back, so. Something already budgeted did.
I make a motion, we pass this resolution amending the 2016 budget.
Second.
Have a motion and a second.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Daniel? Tim Terry?
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you. Then Mr. Six, Tim.
Thank you. I'll try to keep this as brief as possible. Basically, the water standards ordinance, we have an area in there where it says you can have no more than 4 connections or 4 water taps on 2-inch line. We try to follow something like Fort Smith's. I believe theirs is 3. It was my intent pretty much for new construction, new water system improvements, so a developer doesn't come in and try to put 8 duplexes on a 2-inch water line, max it out. So we didn't have any, it basically said no more than 4 5/8 inch meter connections where it's equal. We didn't have any wiggle room. It's now going to say, it's now going to say additional 5/8 inch meter connections will require staff review and approval. Criteria for approval will be based on existing number of connections and impact on existing users. There will be no exceptions granted for new water improvement projects. We're basically just adding that verbiage to give us a little room. There's been a tap, a permit, and tap sold on Hilltop area. House is under construction. It's a little bit similar, except it is in the city limits. It's just on a line that we would normally deem maxed out. And there's already 4 connections on that, so this will be number 5. So we're just asking to, when I made this water standard ordinance, it's a good ordinance. It's not perfect. There will probably be amendments throughout time in various parts of it for different reasons. It's just giving us a little bit of wiggle room to make the adjustments necessary.
You're asking for it to be.
I'm asking for it to be
Pass number.
amended.
The emergency clause.
Emergency clause, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Not very good, so I apologize.
We adopt this amendment to the ordinance with the emergency clause.
You want to put it on first reading by title only?
What do we do with the amendments? We don't have to put them on, do we? We just vote on the amendments? We don't have to do any first or second, third reading?
Yes.
Do it, it's ordinance.
It's an ordinance.
We're amending the ordinance?
Yes.
So it's just like a new ordinance?
That's right.
So what we're really doing is put this ordinance on for reading by, first reading by title only.
Yes.
I make that motion.
Second.
Motion and a second.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson? Yes. Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Terry? Unanimous. An ordinance amending ordinance number 12-13 establishing the water standards for the city of Greenwood, Arkansas.
You want this passed, right?
Make a motion to suspend rules, waive second, third reading.
Second.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Tim Terry? Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
That's Terry. Unanimous.
Motion to adopt this ordinance.
Second.
Motion second to adopt.
There. Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel? Tim Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Terry? It's unanimous.
Motion to make the motion.
Second.
Motion in 2 seconds.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
And Terry?
Yes.
Yes, Terry. Unanimous.
You guys act like it's almost midnight.
Just almost.
Second.
Good?
Thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you.
What do you?
Number 7, Finance Department.
And this is a resolution when we had the special call meeting regarding health insurance for the council. We did not amend the 2016 budget. So this resolution is to amend the 2016 budget to increase 64420 health insurance.
2016 budget?
Uh-huh.
Are we adopting it or are we amending it?
We're amending it.
We haven't adopted it yet.
Yeah, we're
Yes, we did.
I thought that we said, I thought she said we never officially
It was
adopted it.
adopted without the figure.
Well, we're gonna have a resolution after this to formally adopt.
So,
It wasn't formally adopted.
but I guess I'm just carting horse in there. Shouldn't we formally adopt the resolution to adopt the budget before we amend the budget?
We just amended the budget while ago for something else.
Maybe you're right, I just need to.
Make a motion to adopt this
I know.
resolution.
Second.
Yeah, sure.
Motion second.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
Yes, Terry?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Okay, and the next resolution is also amending the 2016 budget. It's to purchase 3 police vehicles. The total we need to increase 67610 capital expenditures is $112,843.05, of which $75,228.70 was in the 15 budget, but the cars did not come in 15, so we need to carry that portion over. And then we received $8,536 in proceeds from the auction, and those funds have not been allocated. She would like to allocate those funds toward the purchase of the 3rd vehicle, and then the remaining $29,078.35 would be available in 10-200 cash and bank DTF forfeitures fund.
All that clear, chief? I make a motion, we pass this resolution.
Second.
That's what he came to do.
Motion second to pass
Mr.
resolution.
Brown?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
Yes, Terry?
Yep.
Unanimous.
Now's the ideal time if you got a little resolution, to slip in some little something.
Anybody have a resolution for a resolution?
The opportunity.
Retirement plan?
Retirement plan. Fund, yeah. Who is that? Did you?
Do you want me to speak on it?
Yes, ma'am. Would you?
Mr. Osborne with the Friday firm, he called me and said that we're doing some changes to the retirement plan. It hasn't been updated in quite some time. He did send me the entire document that I have right here if you'd like to see it, with all the little corrections in it. Some of them are due to the insurance laws, and some of them are just updating the plan with change in trustees, etc. And this just has to be formally adopted by the city council, and then the mayor and I will do our part of the document. I think Mr. Hamby says that it does not have to actually be a formal resolution, although we can do it that way. I mean, that would be, maybe make it easier in records when we're looking.
Did you provide a resolution?
He did, it's just not in our format really, but
I didn't have a problem with his resolution. This is something we've done over the years from time to time, and so I recommend that we adopt the resolution to be prepared.
we do pay them to be the experts on it.
I make a motion, we adopt the resolution concerning retirement plan changes.
Second.
Motion second.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
Yes, Terry? Unanimous.
Thank you. Procedural, is that right?
No formal adoption, but
Oh, I'm sorry. Only adopted.
well, I visited with.
What is this, I mean, 'cause I thought we did adopt it.
That's what I'm about to
We
say,
did.
is when I'm doing the minutes and I listened to the tape where you adopted the budget, you know, Mr. Brown moved to adopt the budget, basically. But we normally have a formal document that does that, and y'all didn't say a word line item, although last year's, that been never, a bunch of years before that did. So those words weren't other items. It feels better to have a formal understanding.
She visited with me, and I think this is what we need for clarification purposes, so there's no question.
So we're
Mr. Darren Pine, we got a line on our budget.
That's right.
Yep.
I'll make a motion.
I second.
Motion second.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Vice Terry?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Last but not least, yes,
Yes.
resolution establishing procedural rules for the city council of the city of Greenwood, 2016.
No changes were made, I just printed, changed everything to 2016. Nothing else changed from it.
Make a motion, we pass the resolution establishing procedural rules.
Second.
Motion is second.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Vice Terry? Unanimous.
Thank you. On my account, that seems to be every item on this big but agenda. Who says you can't get a whole lot of stuff done in 4.5 hours?
I'd like to make a recommendation that we,
I would entertain a motion to do just that.
we forego the council.
Oh, that?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, I thought we'd already established that. You're right.
The department reports. Not.
Well,
Really? I don't know. We really want to hear from Joe, don't we?
Joe's been back here a long time. Joe, say something, Joe, you get to talk.
He's waited all
these
this
guys have
time.
been here all night, for one. Two, we skipped them last month, if I'm not mistaken. We ain't heard from them in a while. While you're here, you might as well give us a short speech to
Your motion is.
It'd be short. It would be short.
You're talking about your building additions?
Joe, you're up.
Let's hear from them.
Hey, hey.
You ain't gonna hear much.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart, and Mayor, Council, Mr. Rouse, Mr. Hammond. Everything's running normal. Although, I would like to see if the council would approve me going into negotiations, verbal negotiations with some property owner close to us.
I think we've spoken about that before, and I feel like that's the right approach.
Approving this?
I think we've given him approval before, so we can go ahead.
You can debrief him later.
Any questions? Thank you.
I just have one thing I need clarification on. When we adopted our policy handbook, there were some changes regarding the accrual of vacation time. And in the previous handbook, if you, after 8 years of service, you got 15 working days. The new handbook says after 5 years, you get 12 working days, and you don't get 15 days until after 10 years. There was no mention of a grandfather clause. We have 3 employees that this would affect, that they would lose 3 days vacation. Do we want to grandfather that in? Is this an administrative decision you'd like the mayor to make? Or,
Since it's not written, we just don't know.
right, since it's not written, we want to make sure we have your wishes on it.
It's definitely the mayor's discretion. Unfortunately, the 6 of us have no idea who's on vacation and where, how long they've been here.
We don't get it.
Yeah, we're on call around the clock.
Administrative decision.
That's how I get to be.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you, Ann.
Appreciate it.
Sonny? He's like, what?
We're gonna do this.
Right. Planning Department has a busy month. I have included in your packet the permit tally for the year of 2016 and also compared to the year 2015 and 14. And we increased on everything from last year. You can see the large amounts there of construction value from this year in STSC. And on the commercial was the school. Also in your packet, I have included a report from a code enforcement call. I'm putting it in this format from now on to kind of give you a better idea of what's going on instead of just saying I have 15 code enforcement calls. Just kind of break it down to some of the things exactly what what Jerry's doing in the same way on the animal control. And I'm not gonna read that to you, I'm gonna let you guys look at it. And also in your packet is something I'm gonna start doing is giving you a copy of the planning commission board adjustment meetings and kind of give you a synopsis of what was determined on each one of them. You know, for example, a person there had to be tabled because two commissioners were gone, and so they're carrying that over to the next month. But again, we had utility easement behind Mrs. Terry's house that should have been a utility drainage easement, and they approved that, and so now we've got to do some legal work to get that done. But that's, like I said, I think that'll give you a little more idea what's going on in the planning department too. Any questions? You don't want me to read all that? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bell.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, before we go, I was asking, do you know off the top of your head the difference in 2015 taxes versus 14, how much higher or lower they were? I'm trying to read this chart. I'm not seeing the number I want to see. I just wonder if they were total, with the tax revenues were higher year over year than 14 and 15.
Yes, city sales and use tax was up 4.2% over 2014, and county sales tax was up 3%.
On your, I really do appreciate this report. I was wondering if you update it to say that it sunsets down in 2026, the front page.
Oh. I have it here.
I think it's all filled out. Yeah. Chief Dawson.
Something that's important.
Do
I think I've had enough talking.
He's talking in his.
Is it worth standing up?
That's the part he's like.
Anything going on with you, chief?
I just have numbers, I don't have anything, unless you want to rest out that line.
Did you say others?
I'll make the motion, Mr. President, we adjourn.
Chief, you got anything quickly?
I made a motion.
I know. I'm ignoring it for a second. I thought he was just.
We had 45 responses in December. We had one firefighter resign, so we're down to 28. We'll be adding, or advertising personnel, hopefully next week, for a new hire. Other than that, the inspections of all the school systems and tractor supply, trying to get that finalized so they get open later in the week. And then, we're working on the grant for physical fitness equipment and the AFG grant. Other than that, we're doing some repairs on some trucks. Any questions?
Thank you, sir. I don't usually make requests, but don't you dare shut Tractor Supply from over this week. Real quick, I'd like to say what the guy in the back said earlier tonight, Mr. Grimes, resonates in my head, and hopefully does everybody here. I think we've got good things going. I think we proved tonight, even though it took 4.5 hours, and we're not through some of the stuff, that we worked well together and things are clicking. So appreciate the comments, and hopefully that somehow it shows up in, I don't know, the local newspaper or something. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Mayor. Second.
We're adjourned.
Everybody voted yes.
Actually, I have, we had a motion.
Second.